All right. How's everybody today? Good so far? All righty. Okay, guys, I think we have to split everybody here, so we might as well get at this thing. We'll try and get you out of here in a decent time today before we're over. All righty. First thing is, for you guys that don't know me, my name's Alan Butler. I farm up in the south end of Lambton. Background is mainly cash crop at this point, but we fed a fair amount of cattle at one time. We had pigs as well. So I can kind of deal with livestock and grains, all righty? As we go through this thing, guys, I'm gonna set this up kind of around cash crops, all righty? It's just, if that works for you guys, that's fine. I've been accused of turning grape growers into cash croppers and all that kind of stuff, but anyways, that's mainly the way I set this thing up, all righty? So, with that in mind, how many times you guys went through this thing?
Six.
It could,
I
yeah.
had you once before.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it could be. Could be up in that 5-6 range. If you did it voluntarily.
I started in 1990.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, you could be there. All righty. Any first timers? A couple first timers? Okay, good enough. For you guys and for everybody, really, as far as the older fellows, nothing's changed. I mean, as far as you still need a 75% to pass the exam. The girls will send you back the card in about 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks, all righty? When you get that card, please take the time to take it back to the outlet, wherever you're buying product, and make sure they got a photocopy of the thing. They have got to have an updated date for that thing to work, all righty? My wife used to work out at Swag Rutherford, and she spent enormous amounts of time in the spring chasing down the cards. And it made it tough on the guys at the counter because they couldn't buy product, they were in a hurry, wanted to go, and she had to turn them down. So please take the time to do that, all righty? Again, as I said, 75% to pass the exam. For the first time, guys, they did tell you you're writing an exam today, right? So no surprise there, okay? Again, 75 to pass the exam, split up in 2 parts, and I'll show you how that works in a couple of minutes. As we go through the thing today, the book. So I got everybody with the green coil on the back side of the book, okay? That is the current book, and we want to be there, okay? All right, as we go through, what do you think? Has that book got thicker or thinner since the last time you did this? That's the normal bet. You realize it's like 34 pages less than the last one? Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so as we go through the thing, I'm going to roll through. There's stuff that some places I've got to stick fairly close to the book. I hope I got some stuff that interests you on this farm stuff. Again, as we go through, if I make a point of something, you might want to make a point of something, if you know what I mean. For the guys, don't be afraid to mark these books up, right? For $105, you should be at least able to draw the book, all righty? So again, just take the time, whatever you need, don't be afraid to mark the things up. Again, as we go through, what I tend to use, you're going to see the word pesticide used an awful lot, please understand that. I tend to use the word chemical, so don't let me screw you up on terms. If I'm talking about chemical, all I'm talking about is the product you buy at Swag or Thompson's or whatever, whether it's Dual Pursuit, Sencor, whatever it is. So don't let me mess you up on terms, okay? With that, we'll start working our way through here, guys, and just see how we get along. Good, now a couple things here before we get started. I want you to have a quick look at this one. The idea I'm trying to get you behind this thing is, it doesn't matter how much money you spend or how big the unit is. You've got to be able to calibrate these things. You have got to be able to make them work properly. Like the one overhead, again, fully rate controlled, GPS, auto steered, boom leveled, everything. I mean, this thing will do everything. Compared to the little guy underneath, again, the bottom line is a sprayer is a pump, a tank, and tips and controls. And whatever you stick in between is up to you and how much money you want to spend. But the bottom line is you've got to be able to calibrate and control the flow out of that thing to do a good job. Alrighty? I was talking to a guy at the Outdoor Farm Show. The gentleman was with Hypro Tips. You know Hypro Tips? He is quite concerned that the machines now are starting to outpace the tip's ability to apply product properly. So they've got guys out west that are trying to run 25 mile an hour. And he said the tip just isn't able to keep up with that. And his comment was 10 to 12 mile an hour, that's about optimum for that tip and for everything to work properly, okay? And even though, you know, we've got machines here that will run 25 mile an hour, doesn't necessarily mean we should be, all right? So I just want you to keep that in mind as we run along here. Another thing that's come up, most folks refer to this thing as the spray course. What I need you to think about is you're applying a whole lot more pesticide on the farm than just spraying, all righty? And that's where this thing comes up. Again, it is treated seed that's getting into the grain tray, and we're having problems there. Are you guys familiar with Jackson Seeds in Dresden? All righty, I had Dennis in a course earlier this spring. I got to this point, and I just said, Dennis, this is yours, and away he went. And of course, they're doing all IP soybeans in there, or a lot of IP soybeans. Dennis says they have a man at the wagon for each load that's unloaded. If there is a blue bean or a red bean trickles out of that wagon, the door is shut and the owner is informed that they now own whatever tank those beans are going in, and whether it's 10,000 bushel or 100,000 bushel, you now own that tank full of beans. All righty? And you better have some insurance in that case. Okay? So again, we're getting treated seed into the grain trade. We've got to watch that. The guy from Oahu that was talking about this, the one that caught me by surprise, he said we're getting a lot of treated wheat in corn, which really surprised me. Just, you know, I guess if you think about it, it can happen, but that's starting to happen. So we got to watch those as well. Again, you're applying pesticide even though it's treated seed. So that's what I need you to keep in mind there. These ones here, I just want to run through these with you. Due diligence. This is going to be one of your best defenses if you get into a spray drift issue. Okay, as long as you've done everything to the best of your ability, this is going to be one of your best defenses. So, again, attitude, care about what you're doing, qualified to work with a product. You guys are doing that today. Product registered in Ontario, Canada. I'll run through those with you. Bought from an approved dealer. Again, that's the Swags, Thompsons, co-ops, those types of things. Read and comply with the labels. Again, we'll put you through a label exercise later this morning. Weather forecast. I'm going to do some weather stuff, which hooks right on to the next one, wind speed and direction. I'm going to do a little internet stuff as we go along today. I'm going to show you some stuff there I hope you find interesting. Notify residents. Is anybody working around those subdivisions or those severed lots on the corner of farms? You know, those 100-acre farms that have the house severed off the corner? Ernie, you must be working around them all the time.
Yeah, well, just in the one field on the Prince Albert there,
Yeah.
I got them around there, and they got, it's a certain grade, and you gotta be careful.
Yeah, okay. So again, I'm running into that fairly good sized operation up around Sarnia. They work around subdivisions all the time. They make one pass around to the sprayer, and the next pass around, women are out on the back lawns. They've got brooms, they're swinging brooms, they're throwing potatoes, throwing tomatoes, whatever they can get a hold of, okay? And it's just the fact that there's nothing, you know, really that harmful about the product. Of course, you need to be careful, but it's the fact they can smell something, and that triggers it, and away you go. So you might have to just have a chat with some of these folks, just to make sure they're aware of what you're doing.
Hey, Howard?
Yes, sir.
Yep, Brian Highland,
Yeah,
sorry I
Brian.
came in late, but I had a university student come into my farm on the beef farm, and she had to train on a farm for a vet course. She was 23 years old, so through our course of conversation, she told me her and her sister would go out to the field and pick up the little pink seeds from a planter.
Really?
So she was never taught as a child living out in rural Essex County that these seeds had pesticide on them.
Right.
And it just floored me. Because she's a well-educated person now. But
Right.
It's just amazing that you have to tell people.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm going with this, Brian. Sometimes you just have to let folks know, and it can save you a lot of headache down the road. And again, Ernie, you must be right in the heart of it there. at
Yeah,
times.
well, I tell them what I'm doing before I do it.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I only on that property, I go on a north wind, so it's
Okay.
got that 300 acres to blow across before it gets to Grandad. But
Okay.
as long as you mix it right and it's not smelly and like it smells, but I mean, you just do it on a low drift day. Like
Right.
5 mile an hour.
So you plan your application, is what you're doing?
Yeah, and it's tough to do that.
Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, but those are the little things we gotta keep in mind, all right? Areas of sensitivity in your notebook, that type of stuff. Check the vehicle and application equipment, just make sure everything's running right. You're doing the job that you planned on doing. Crop and pest on the label, again, we're gonna do some label stuff later on. Proper clothing, personal protective equipment, we're gonna get into that after lunch, we'll have a run through that as well. Records, you're gonna find that they pound away on records all day today. Almost every section comes back to a record keeping of some description. So with that in mind, are you guys keeping records now? Alrighty, for the most part? Alrighty, it's gotta be a little, like, it's good to have it up here, but it's nice to write it down too. Alrighty, and I've run into everything from a coil-bound binder, that type of thing, to, I've had guys hold up their phones. We're doing it here now, okay? So again, records, kind of keep this in mind. We'll work on that as we go through today. Drift is going to be a big issue. I'm going to play with it, a little bit of tip stuff this afternoon for you. Some of the new chemical, that one handout that I gave you, that Enlist product on that one handout, that is the new 2,4-D tolerant soybean. There's going to be a whole protocol with that, and it comes right down to tips and droplet size and the whole thing. So I'm going to run through that a little bit later for you this afternoon as well. Alrighty. This one here, and this one pertains directly to insurance. I'm going to get into insurance a little bit later this afternoon. I do need you to start thinking about that. As far as insurance on the farm right now, have you guys got in your mind what you're carrying as far as environmental liability riders? I just want you to think your way through that as we go. I'll come back to it later this afternoon, okay? But we'll touch on that, and that's one thing I need you to just give some thought to as we go along. Alrighty, sponsors for the day. The program's being sponsored now. These are the folks that are involved there. And they're on a poster over there on the other side. And as far as how we're setting this up, it's set up pretty much the same way we did it last time, okay? So we run through some sections in the morning. We do regulations, we do pest management, label, all that kind of stuff before lunch. You guys write the first half of the exam before lunch, just like you did the last time. We come back after lunch, and lunch is here today. So you're on your own over in the restaurant part there. Protective clothing, transportation, storage, spills, fires, all that kind of stuff. Drift. I am going to put you through calibration this afternoon, and we're going to do the math section. Alrighty? So if you got calculators, we are going to go through that. The calibration end of it is a home thing. I mean, you have got to be able to know how to do this so that you get things figured out at home. Alrighty? So we'll go through that, and then we'll finish up. I am going to be done in the neighborhood of 3 or shortly after. And you guys are going to write the second half of the exam after that. Alrighty, so ballpark, you're looking at 4 a little after before we're done. The goal at the end of the day is the green card. That's what you guys are after, right? So we'll go through how you're going to get there in a few minutes. And with that, we'll start into some of the regulation stuff. And I want to start into the book. So just take the book, flip the front cover open. Alrighty. The first thing you're going to run into is a yellow card. Everybody with me there? Okay, that yellow card has all the emergency telephone numbers on it you need today. Everything is right there. There are 2 sets of them, if you notice. That thing is perforated right down through the center. You can tear that in half, tear it out of the book. That card is never meant to stay in this book. Alrighty? Tear the thing out when you get home, throw it. One in the shop, throw one in the tractor, wherever. Same deal with the magnets. I think I gave everybody a magnet. Alrighty, same deal. All the emergency numbers are there. There is room for you to write in extra numbers. And Brian, I haven't got you all my stuff yet, but we'll get there. Alrighty? So and again, throw these things wherever you can find something where it's going to stick. I'm not sure where you're going to put it in the tractor anymore. Sprays everything in, there's plastic. Alrighty? The other thing here is, guys, and I've run into this quite a few times, if you look down, about halfway down the page, do you see where it says 911 address? All right, I am running into this a lot, especially with the guys that have got multiple properties. Some of those properties are bare 50s, bare 100s. There is no 911 number staked there, okay? Is that familiar? Does that sound like what you're up against? The number is assigned, and it's at the municipality, but the fact that the stake isn't there, okay? So again, if you have to have emergency responders come to the field, like, let's face it, if you got a combine fire, these guys are just going to chase the smoke till they get there. But if you have to have an ambulance come to the field and you've got a medical emergency, these guys have got no smoke to chase. And if you call in the 911, oh, well, we're on the Smith farm on the 10th. You know, what's that? that's really no good to anybody. So take the time, know what those numbers are, get them written down. Like if the Smith farm is 923, you know, bush line, something like that, take the time to write it down so you got a point of reference, okay? Again, that is gonna, if you do have a medical emergency, that is something that's gonna help you along there, okay? So that card is at the front, you are gonna refer back to that through the course of the day. With that, flip that page over, should jump past that, all that title page thing there, and you should run into the table of contents. That table of contents is gonna be your best friend later on this afternoon, so you might wanna dog-ear the corner of that thing right now, so you know where it's at, because you will come back to it, no doubt about it. I'm gonna jump right over the preface section, and I'm gonna go right to the regulation section. It's on page 1, chapter 1. So I jumped about 4 pages there, and everybody should be with me with this regulation section. Alrighty? We good? Alright, good enough. Now, just slide down the page, guys. What I want you to pick up is right square in the middle of the page. First, you see where it's, did you see the word pesticide in bold print? Are you with me there? Pesticide is a general term for substance to use or control pests like insects, weeds, and diseases. Alrighty? Slide down the page a little bit further, and they give you the different pesticides down at the bottom of the page. Now, out of that list of 6, how many of those are you guys using? 3? 4? What do you think? Yeah, well, the insecticides, we're getting there. If you're handling treated seed, you're handling an insecticide. Alrighty? The herbicides, of course, most guys are handling those. Fungicides, we're getting into that more and more. Again, that is on your treated seed. Okay, the Apron Max, those types of things. Rodenticides, most of you guys are probably throwing stuff out for rats now and then, or mice, so you are handling rodenticides. After that, the miticides, the nematicides, depending on the crop, probably not so much in the cash crop area. Ernie, are you using anything like that on the grass?
Just grubs and pinch bug and,
Is that right?
yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. So again, for the most part, you guys are handling a fair amount of product when you stop and think about it. Alright? With that, flip that over. There's a federal regulation you guys have got to be aware of. So I'm over on page 2, just slide down the page. Do you see the pile of books with the black hammer on top? Anytime you see a black hammer today, it is a current regulation under either the federal or provincial act. So let the black hammers be your guide here. So right down there, the Pest Control Products Act, the left-hand margin, do you see it in there in bold print? Pest Control Products Act. That is the federal act, or PCPA, that you guys need to be concerned about. Slide down to the bottom of the page. Very bottom of the page, just come back up into that bottom paragraph, about 3 lines. You see where it says Health Canada? Right at the end of the third bottom line there. It's Health Canada's Pest Management Regulatory Agency that looks after the Pest Control Act at the federal level. Alrighty? So that is basically the federal act that you guys have got to deal with. Top of the next page, there are 3 evaluation divisions there. There's the health evaluation, environmental, and value or sustainability. Just in those arrowheads at the top of page 3. Alrighty? And again, that is basically your federal act that you deal with right there. Flip that page over. Over on page 5. Slide down, you see where it says minor use pesticide registrations? And for you guys down here, this might fit in a bit more because of the vegetables, that type of thing. So there's the user requested minor use registration program. Everybody with me there? Alrighty. Again, we have a hard time getting products registered in Canada, especially on the minor use side, the vegetable side, because we don't have a big market for it. If there's a product that guys need, sometimes the vegetable growers, that type of thing, can go to PMRA and say, look, you know, we got a problem, can you help us out? Can you look at this particular product? So it is a minor use type of thing. The one down at the bottom, user requested minor use label expansion program. This is again where growers approach PMRA and ask that a product that is registered, and the example that comes to mind, you remember a few years ago, the guys around Dresden were having an awful hard time with downy mildew on cucumber, okay? There was no product registered for that, yet there was a product that would handle that registered on another crop. they approached PMRA and said, look, this stuff is registered on lettuce or cauliflower, whatever it is, can we look at bringing it back to the cucumber? They did. The product was then registered to handle downy mildew and cucumber. So that's how that thing kind of works. Alrighty, again on the minor use side. Flip that over, top of the next page. Grower requested own use program. Alright, and if you just highlight the first letters, the first letter of each word, so it's G-R-O-U. That is how it's going to be commonly referred. But what this is basically the import program. So you as a grower can apply, you just go through the paperwork, you slip over to Michigan, you buy stuff that is registered on both sides of the border, okay? Stuff like Dual and Atrazines and Marksman and those types of products. And I've run into a few guys that are doing this, very happy with what they're doing. Okay, it is labeled for over here, all that kind of stuff, registered for over here. They can use it, and they say they're saving a fair dollar on running over to get it. Now, I'm not sure what an 80-cent dollar is going to do to them on that. But again, run into a few guys, fairly satisfied with how that thing works. And the paperwork is not overwhelming. Okay? So that's all there for you. Other federal acts down towards the bottom of page 6, they're there for you. They go through page 7 as well as continue on page 8. I'm not going to spend any time on them, guys, just know that they're there. Alrighty? So that is the federal act that you guys have got to deal with. What was it? Remember what it was called? Didn't tell you to test you this early, didn't I? What's it called? Okay, that is the grower owned use program. Let's go back to the federal act. What was it called?
Pest Control Products Act.
Exactly. Pest Control Products Act. Who looks after it?
GRU? No?
No.
Wait a minute.
Division of Government looks after it, right? You're right there.
Um,
Health Canada, okay? And it's the Pest Management Regulatory
Oh, yeah.
Agency within Health Canada. Okay? That's your federal stuff. All right, back over to page 9, provincial stuff. Once the product is registered federally, it comes into the province. And we deal in the province right at the very top of the page, again, the books and the black hammer. All righty? It is the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. You guys realize there's been a name change there, right? It used to be MOE, now it's MOECC. All right? And it is the Pesticides Act and Regulation 6309. And that's what you deal with in the province. Okay? The best way to get a handle on that is just flip the page and have a look at these two charts real quick. Alrighty. Page 10, we have got the risk assessment chart. Okay? When the product comes into Ontario, it's put into one of 11 classes. See the class numbers down the left-hand side? Move in one column. This is the Ontario hazard. So this tells you how hazardous those different classes of products are. So class 1 products, everybody with me there? Various hazard. Alrighty? These are manufactured products. You guys aren't going to get a hold of these anyways. Alrighty? Class 2s and class 3s. That's where you guys come in. Class 2s are considered very hazardous. Class 3s are moderately hazardous. And you are going to handle a bunch of class 4s as well. And they are considered less or least hazardous. Alrighty? So again, you guys are going to handle 2s, 3s, and 4s. You need the card for 2s and 3s. Alrighty? Over on the next page, on page 11, again, class numbers down the left-hand side. This is just the classification sale and use chart is what this is. Alright? Again, class numbers down the left-hand side. Next column in is who can sell the stuff and general vendor all the way down. Where you come in is the third column in, where it says for purchase by at the top. If you notice, you're not even listed on the class 1 stuff, so you can't buy it. You go into class 2, and there you are as a certified farmer. And basically, you can buy everything from there now. All right? Just to give you an idea, let's just deal with herbicides right off the bat. Any idea what some class 2 products would be? Any thoughts? And just deal with herbicides for the moment. All righty? Looking over at the other page, they're considered very hazardous. Any thoughts? I'll give you some ideas in a minute. The ones that come to my mind right off the bat are products like Prowl. You guys familiar with Prowl? Alrighty. That is considered a class 2 product, again, considered very hazardous there. Class 3 products. This is the bulk of what you guys will handle. And again, class 3 products like Dual, Sencor, those types of products. And then the darn thing splits on, you guys are all familiar with 2,4-Ds, right? Two different types or, not formulations, but the chemistries on 2,4-D. What are they? Sorry? Yeah, amine and ester, okay? Now, and this is where they split. 2,4-D ester is considered a class 3 product, therefore you need the card to buy 2,4-D ester. 2,4-D amine is a class 4, and you don't need the card to buy the class 4 stuff. But it splits by the chemistry, all right? So that's just so you know there. And then the other thing in the class 4s, all the Roundup products, the Aragon, that type of thing are all class 4s, all righty? So the next time you're sitting in Tim Hortons and some guy gives you a hard time about spending $105 to do the course because he can buy Roundup without it, he's right, okay? Technically, he's right. And I'll just show you how we get there in a minute as well, okay? So all those class numbers are listed there for you. All that stuff is also listed in the weed control book, all right? And I'm gonna show you in a few minutes where you find all that stuff. So it's all here for you as well, okay? Again, the goal, the green card. You've gotta have the green card for class 2 and 3 products, all right? So that's where we're at there. Flip that over, slide down page 12 there for a second. So used by the certified farmers, I'm right at the very top of the page, left-hand margin. Class 2 and 3 products need the green card. Got that covered. Used by farmers who are not certified. These are the guys that are gonna buy the class 4 products, okay? So again, that guy can go in as long as he can prove he's a farmer, and he does that by the OFA, NFU, CFFO card. Because you paid the membership, that proves you're a farmer. He goes in, shows that card, and he can buy Roundup. Alrighty, there might be a self-declaration form there, depends on the vendor. Okay? Underneath that, use on lawns and gardens. You guys realize under the Cosmetic Pesticides Act, you are not supposed to be spraying your lawns and gardens. Just nod your heads and say, yep, I know that. Okay? Good enough. Use by certified or supervised farmer assistants. This is where this thing can come in on you guys, so I need you to be aware of this. Alright? These farmer assistants, and again, this thing's been around since 2000. Alright? These are basically your helpers. List of things that these guys can do are up at the top of page 13. Or excuse me, the things they cannot do. What they can do is mix, load, and apply under your supervision. As far as what they can't do, they can't buy the stuff, they can't select or recommend the type of product, the rate of application, the means of storage, calibrate equipment, or transport or dispose of waste product, okay? This is the things they can't do. They can mix, load, and apply under your supervision, alrighty? Have you guys sprayed? You do it all? Okay, alrighty. With that, there are two types of supervision, okay? There's direct supervision whereby you as the green card holder are on the farm at the same time the helper is spraying. So you got a guy on one side of the farm, you're planting corn on the other side, you got him spraying over on the west side, he's out there spraying, everything's good, you're planting corn, you're right there. That is direct supervision, okay? That guy folds up, moves down the road, he goes down the road around the corner, he's on the 50 over there. That is now indirect supervision. You're still planting corn on the farm, alrighty? At that point, there's 3 criteria that you gotta be aware of. So if you're gonna send that guy down the road with a class 2 product, that's where you need to know what the classes are, okay? He's going down the road with a class 2 product, he has to have written instructions on how to handle that stuff. The second one, he's gotta be available immediately to you as the certified grower, have gotta be available to communicate immediately with that guy. That's cell phone 2-way radio, that is not too tough. The third one there, be present within a reasonable amount of time to respond to an emergency. So if something goes bad, You as the certified grower have gotta be able to get there in a reasonable amount of time. All righty? Everybody kinda with me on that? Okay? Where this comes in for you guys is this. I'm running into this quite a bit. We've got Dad and we've got Jim. Dad is to the point, he's had about enough of this thing, he's not doing this anymore, so Junior, it's your turn. Junior's now taking responsibility for all the chemical application on that farm. If Dad is gonna spray at all, at the very least, he has to have the yellow card, which is the assistance card. Okay? I'm talking to you, Grandpa. Okay? Alrighty? But that's the things that you gotta know right there. And the other thing is, the yellow card does not allow you to buy. So Dad can no longer buy the product, and that kind of creates an accounting nightmare at times. And I've run into that a few times. The other thing that I've run into on this, let's just say we've got 3 brothers working in a farm operation. Let's just say for argument's sake, they're working 1,000 acres apiece. They've got their own land contracts, run their own operation. The only thing that's really tying those 3 guys together is equipment and labor. Does that sound familiar? All right, because it's happening all over the place. In the past, one of those guys has had the green card, the other 2 guys have been running under his number. Does that sound familiar? Because it's been happening in the past. At the very least, those 2 guys, those other 2 guys, have got to have the yellow card if they're going to apply chemicals. And the other thing that happens is, the guy with the green card is now responsible for all chemical use on all 3,000 acres, even though 2,000 of it isn't his. Okay? So you're asking that guy to take quite a load. And then the other thing that kicks in is, whose insurance covers what? Okay? So that's something you gotta keep in mind in that situation as well. All right? So again, back to these things here, the communication isn't a big deal, but what can get you into trouble is, you're present within a reasonable amount of time if you have an accident. All right? So these 3 brothers, one of them is married to a school teacher. The guy with the green card is married to a school teacher. June 28th comes, school's out, and they're heading for Calgary to the Stampede. About July 5th, the other 2 brothers are walking around, they get into a soybean aphid problem. What do they gotta do? Okay, they gotta go out and apply a product on soybean aphid. They've got the yellow cards, we'll say, just for argument's sake, so they're okay there. But they're applying a product that's considered a dangerous good, because they're gonna be using Legon or Matador, something like that, all right? If for whatever reason, this sprayer ends up in the ditch or it gets in an accident on the road, all right, with Legon in the sprayer, what's gotta happen? Where's the guy with the green card? He's 2,500 miles away, and he is supposed to be able to respond to an emergency in a reasonable amount of time, all right? Those are the things you kinda gotta keep in mind with this. All right? So again, just so you know that. All right? With that, flip that page over. There's other provincial acts over on page 17. So they're listed out. They continue through page 18. Those things are all there for you. I mentioned a farmer's self-declaration for the guy that's buying the Class 4 product. There it is in the book. Again, the vendor may ask you to sign that, they may not. Okay? So that is all there for you as well, just so you know. All right? With that, have a look at my little bug up here. I know he's kind of small, but does he look familiar at all? You guys know what he is? What do you think? What do you think? Any ideas?
You sound dumb, but it actually looks like a stinkweed.
It's stink bug. Stink
Well,
bug.
I don't know why I said weed, it's obviously not a weed.
And you're right, that is what it is. It's a stink bug, but it's a brown marmorated stink bug. And this little guy is showing up. I've run into this a couple times in Essex. In the past, what these little guys do is they crawl up into the bunches of grapes. The guys pull the grapes, and when they crush them, they crush the bug, and then the bug will actually taint the juice. Just the smell of that, okay? And then articles here just the first of the year, these things are moving up more into this area in here, and they're getting into soybeans. And what they do is, they bite into the pod of the soybean, and they will mark them up and make them useless for high feed. So that's something you kind of got to keep in mind as well. So these little guys are moving, and they're coming up our way, okay? So again, the brown marmorated stink bug, this little guy is starting to cause a bit of trouble. With IPM, guys, that's the section we're on here on page 23. for the most part, this section just lists out all the things you guys are doing anyways. Alrighty? So slide down the page, you see where it says integrated pest management in bold print? Right in the middle of the page. Integrated pest management, process of planning or taking steps to prevent or control pests. And you guys are doing all this anyways. What have you guys done already? And I'm betting every one of you guys has done it. You either did it last fall or you've already done it this spring to control pests this spring. What have you done? Any thoughts? I'm betting most of you done it. You've done any tillage stuff? That type of thing? Why did you do tillage? Alrighty, you're destroying habitat. Yeah, Brian?
Canada flea bane for us.
Yeah, yeah, so you're trying to take out those late, and tillage is is a good way to do it, because nothing's resistant to iron. Alrighty, Ernie, do you have to mow anything?
Nope,
Knocking, no?
no,
No, you're
it's
okay
all
now?
last fall.
That's what I mean, all
Yep.
done last fall?
Yeah, last fall.
Yeah.
This spring we won't go on it because you'll be able to see everywhere where you went if you disturb that patch of grass. Like,
Oh, okay.
it'd be just like somebody put Roundup on it.
Oh, really?
If you even drive on it.
Okay, okay. And forgive me if I don't mean to pick on you,
No,
I know what you do.
No,
But Ernie's a massagist, so again, he's dealing
It's a
with,
different thing,
it's just, yeah, it's different than just general cash crop, but the principle's the same.
yeah.
Okay, so you're out mowing in the fall to destroy habitat, right?
Yeah, because they let the weather get to it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
You don't want to fold it over.
Yeah, alrighty. So again, how many of you guys have bought treated seed? Got it ordered? Okay, why'd you do that? What's the idea behind the treated seed? Exactly, okay? So you're doing stuff to plan ahead for bug problems or pest problems later on in the year.
Now, can I ask you a question on
Yeah,
that,
sure.
on that stink bug?
Yeah.
here? There's supposed to be a new one coming out, like I grow some pumpkins, and then pumpkins, but there's one that actually is, one's a herbivore, and is one actually attacking the other bugs too, or not? What is it?
You can have predators out there that will,
No, but a stinkweed predator?
a stink bug?
Yeah, or stink bug, I don't know why I keep saying stinkweed. Stink
Get
bug.
weeds on your mind.
Yeah, like you don't wanna destroy the wrong one, is what it is.
Exactly. And again, with the integrated, with this type of thing, I'll take you back to something I do know, because I'm not familiar with that one. If you guys got soybean aphids, which bug do you like to see there?
Ladybug.
Ladybugs, exactly, because they're a predator, right? You're talking the same theory, but I just can't give you the bug that looks after a stink bug. Any idea, Sue?
I don't know if there is one.
It's not another stink bug if it is.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
There's
Yeah.
more than one kind of stink bug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to identify one.
But you've hit the point with the fact that there are predators that look after other issues, okay? And that's why we gotta be careful spraying, because when I go out there with a Matador or leg on, I'm taking everything, okay? Predators and beneficial, okay? So, with that, there's 5 components to IPM, they're down at the bottom of 24. They go through them in more detail in the next couple pages, and that's where I wanna be. So I'm right at the top of page 25. And identification, and for identification, you gotta be able to figure out what's out in the field. So I just brought some stuff here, you guys can have a look at it. Soybean guide, you guys familiar with this thing? Alrighty. Again, it does a full IPM program right at the beginning. It does diseases, it does insects, and it does disorders, and it does everything in color, which is really kind of neat for me, because I like to see what I'm gonna be looking at in the field. Okay, so that's called the Interior Soybean Guide. The thing is kind of out of print right at the moment. I'm thinking we should see it again probably end of the summer, maybe the Outdoor Farm Show, because we're gonna be able to pick these things up. But again, fairly handy book there. Go and throw that around and have a look at it. Couple other things. I got this one, Early Season Field Crop Pest. This does a lot of underground stuff. It does slugs, grubs, those types of things. And again, there's wireworm, all right? You know what wireworm is copper colored, all right? All that kind of stuff is all done, and it's done in color for you to have a look at, all righty? So again, I'll send these around, you guys have a look at them. They're not really too hard to get a hold of. Some of these are fairly common, you should be able to pick them up. This one I picked up at a DeKalb dealer, all right? And again, it's called the Corn and Soybean Field Guide. It does bugs, it does diseases, it does all that kind of stuff, and again, in color, all right? And again, this thing is out of Purdue. I held this up one day, and apparently I found a competing dealer. So the next thing you know, I've got one from Pride too, okay? So again, they are available, just go to your dealers, I'm sure Pioneer's got the same thing. There's lots of information there for you to have a look at. So get out and just have a look at it. This one here, if you've done this with me before, I've shown you this thing before, it is the Weed of Quebec book. And what I like about this thing is it does, again, everything in color. And I'll just take it back right there. There's Canada flea bane. All right, it shows you the weed from the moment that it pops through the ground, right through the big rosette. As soon as you see that big rosette, you know you've got flea bane. All righty, it bolts, it goes up, it shows you the full flowering, and then the seed set. Okay, and again, all done in color for you. Everything is right there. All righty, so we're gonna just send these around. You can have a look at them, and like I say, they are just your identification tools there. All right. And for you guys here, how many guys have been out at Ag Conference, out of the first year, out of the college? You ever had a chance to go through there? Steve, what do you think?
Really good.
It is. There's a lot of different topics there. You've got your choice to go to wherever you want. And you get to talk to the experts in the field. That's the nice thing about that. So a good place to go there. You ever been out to the diagnostic days out at the college? Again, it's in July as a rule. It's usually about the second, third week of July. It usually catches us up in Lambton at a bad time because usually we're doing wheat. But this year, that's not going to be a problem. All righty, and but if you ever get a chance to go out there, they put you through 10 or 11 sessions through the whole campus grounds. And they give you some different things to look at, all that kind of stuff, okay? So again, we're fairly fortunate in this area that we are that close to college, we can do that. And with that, we've also got the college staff. Like if you got a problem with soybeans, you call Albert Tenuta, okay? Or if you got a problem with bugs, you call Tracy Bowdy, all righty? And they are more than happy to see what you got going on, all right? With that, flip that over. Monitoring over on the next page. Okay? Monitoring. I think you guys just throw them over to those guys. Okay. Move around if you don't mind. Okay, most guys are past the 50-mile-an-hour drive-by on the way to Tim Hortons now. I think we're past that for the most part. Get out in the field, have a look around, see what's going on. From there, you could walk into the next thing, which is the thresholds. Alrighty. And again, you guys have done this before. What, just as I'm down the page, I'm on thresholds there. What is an action threshold? What does that mean to you? You guys have done this before. What do you think?
It's the time between when you need to spray it or it's too late.
Yeah, exactly, Ernie. It's the point at which you are gonna go out and do something about the problem, right?
Yeah.
That's the action threshold. You're trying to avoid that economic injury level, which is in bold print down below that. Okay, so those are the things we're trying to get away from. Again, there's different tools out there now with the technology. There's all different kinds of apps out there. That one they've got listed as the APHID app. There's another one called Scout Doc, I think hits around. Again, different crops, different organizations are putting out different apps for things. What I want you to do is have a quick look at this one, because this one pertains to, if you're a soybean grower, you've probably had to deal with this. This is the one for soybean aphid, all righty? A fairly well-established threshold for this is the 250 bugs per plant on about 80% of the plants, all righty? So if you were doing this, and you went out to do counts, and you went out today and you were gonna do some counts in the field because you thought you had soybean aphid, if you went to certain spots, would you drop flags so you could come back to those spots, or would you stay completely random? Because you're gonna come back tomorrow or the next day to count again. What would you do?
I'd drop a flag.
Drop a flag so you can come back, so you know whether that population is going up or down, all right? So again, that kind of stuff. What would change that population almost overnight?
Weather.
Weather, exactly. We get a shower overnight, knocks the bugs off the plant. Again, it can drop your populations. And again, that's gonna be, your guide on whether you're gonna go to apply a product or not, right? Alrighty, this one here. This one is on bean leaf beetle. Have any of you guys dealt with bean leaf beetle yet? Okay, we've dealt with it at home ourselves. I grow all IP soybeans, so these little guys can be nasty. So this one here, I'll just show you this one real quick. This is out of the States. The unit of measure is beetles per sweep. So you're gonna take a bug net, you're gonna go out and sweep across the top of the plants, see how many bugs you catch. Alrighty? And then, of course, you gotta dig them out of that net and start counting which ones you got of what. But anyways, the way this thing has been set up, and again, it's the threshold, this crop value here, again, US, we're a little out of date, but we're not bad. $8 beans in the States. Okay, so that's the best we can do, so we'll go there. Application cost, I'm gonna tell you now, you are looking at least 12 bucks on chemical cost, and it's gonna be light on, is what you're gonna be using. We've had to spray it at home. 12 bucks for, 12 bucks is strictly chemical cost, application is on top of that. Alrighty, so, $8 bean, $12 chemical cost. If you come down here, if you've got 5 bugs per sweep of that net on a 30-inch row, it's time to get chemical. Alrighty. For us up north, we do a lot of solid seeded stuff. So for us, 3 bugs per sweep of that net on a 7-inch row. And it's time to start getting chemical. Alrighty. And again, are you familiar with what the little guys will do? Like later, look, first off, when they first come up, beans are in the first, second trifoliate. If you start to see holes in the leaves, that is early bean leaf beetle. Okay, that is what you got going on. Again, you're using the seed treatments at this point to contain that, control that. That is what the neonic has been doing for you, is that, okay? As you go through the growing season, we had beans probably waist high or better. What they do is, they go into the bean when the pod is out in about, the thing is full, but it's not quite turned yet. It's just nicely starting to turn. And the little rascal will crawl in and he'll dig into the bean. He's got quite a beak on him, and he'll dig into the bean and he will mark an IP bean and make it useless to you, okay? Then you're into the crusher market. For us, at that time, the year we sprayed, we were looking at a $3 premium on the bean, so it was well worth going in and looking after this. All right, so that is bean leaf beetle. And again, it is here, and I've dealt with it not very far away from me. Okay? With that,
It doesn't do anything to the yield or anything out, by that time it's all set to the, and you're done by then.
as far as yield wise, it might do a little bit to the test weight on it,
Yeah,
Steve, but it's marking the bean,
okay,
okay? And again, White Highlands, I mean, they've gotta be
perfect.
very good or they're turned down.
Right.
So any of that little mark, it's over, okay? So that's really what you're after there. Alrighty? So, with that, again, different methods, methods of control, you guys are familiar with all this. There's the genetic methods, the cultural methods, biological methods. I'm just sliding down page 27 towards the bottom. Flip that over, top of the next page. Physical methods and then the chemical methods. All right? So again, get out, have a look around, see what you got, and see if you can control it. You were mentioning the predators, that type of thing. If you've got that going on out there, you might be just far ahead and leave things alone. Okay? Depending on population, all that kind of stuff. All right? Good enough. Over on page 30, and again, just to address some of the technology that's out there. Okay? And I'm really not much of a Twitter guy myself, but anyways, and we're losing some of the guys that were very good at it. You can see Wheat Pete, that was Peter Johnson. We've lost Greg Stewart apparently. He was the corn guy in the province. These guys, if they put something out on Twitter, slide up. Do you see Mike Cobro, or do you see @Cobro? That's Mike Cobro. That is the weeds guy for Ontario. Very good guy to talk to there. If he's putting something out, there's a problem. Okay? That type of thing. So again, if you're into that, keep an eye on those folks. And then we got all the folks at the college as well. With that, we good so far? Everything making sense? Alrighty, let's go to the label, guys. We'll run through it. I just want to refresh your memories on this label thing. Okay? So, section headings on page 33. Flip that over, you're gonna see a diagram on page 34. That is the principal display panel, the label is the big panel on the front jug, or front part of the jug, okay? So we've got a diagram on page 34. You see the numbers in there in bold print, or excuse me, in the circles, black circles? They correspond directly with the definitions given to you on page 35. So I'm just gonna rock back and forth between these two pages, and again, just wanna refresh your memories on this stuff. So, I'm starting at the top of 35, I'm gonna flip back to the other page. So the first thing I'm gonna run into is the product name. 3 parts of the product name. There's the brand name or trade name, there's the formulation of the product, and then there is the use of the product, what it is used to kill. All right? Looking back at the diagram, what is our brand name or trade name here?
Pest manager.
Pest manager. Yeah, okay, what is the formulation of the product? What do you got? Peter, I think you had it, you just,
500 EC.
EC, that's what we're after, Ernie, is the EC or the emulsifiable concentrate. What's the use of the product? What's this stuff kill?
Kills weeds.
Yeah, so it's a herbicide then, right, Steve?
Yep.
Alrighty, so it is a herbicide. So full product name here is Pest Manager 500 EC, emulsifiable concentrate, herbicide. Alright? Number 2, classification of the product. You can see there's 4 different classifications. Alright, there's domestic, there's commercial, and if you look to the right in the commercial heading, you can see agricultural falls in there as well. There's restricted and manufacturing. For the most part, you guys aren't going to be using that on the farm. Looking over at the diagram, what is our classification here? What do you got? Just yell at it. Yeah, it's agriculture. Okay? Number 3, net contents of the package. Just tells you how much is in there. How much is in the jug?
10 liters.
10 liters, alrighty? Now, don't be fooled by this, alrighty? How many times have you picked up a jug that looks like 10 liters and there's 9.6 in it? Alrighty? You guys familiar with Partner? Partner looks like a 10-liter jug, there's 8.8 liters in that thing, okay? Most times those are set up on a per acre basis, so that the jug does 10 acres, 20 acres, whatever. So just watch the net contents of the thing. Kind of messes you up on calibration. If you're dealing with a dry product, what are you gonna see there instead of liters?
Kilograms?
Yeah, kilograms, grams, whatever. You're gonna see a dry weight, right? So just get ready for that as well. Number 4, bottom of the page, mode of action grouping identification symbol. Does everybody see where that is on the diagram? Everybody with me there? This thing is getting really, really important to you. This deals directly with resistance. It gives the group numbers of the products that we're dealing with. I'm gonna get into that in more detail in a little bit, but just get used to knowing where that is, okay? Good enough. We good on that page? All righty, flip that over. On 36, same deal. Diagram on the left, definitions on the right. All right. Number 5, read the label before using statements. Everybody with me there? See where it is in the diagram? Number 6, precautionary symbols and words. Looking at the diagram, what is the hazard involved here? It's poison, right? What's the degree of the hazard?
It's medium.
Medium. We got a 4-pointer, right? So it's considered a medium hazard. I'll come back to those in a minute. Number 7 is the guarantee of the product. 2 parts of the guarantee. There's the active ingredient, and there's the concentration of the active ingredient. Looking at the diagram, what is the active ingredient here?
Mono, whatever, color.
Yeah, we got a brave soul.
Pardon me?
You got a brave soul that's gonna at least try it. Monochlor, okay?
Not even close. huh?
Not even close. Monochlor, alrighty? What's the concentration of the active ingredient?
500 grams per liter.
500 grams per liter. Okay, bring this back to something you guys are familiar with. What is the active ingredient in Roundup? Recall? Glyphosate, yeah, glyphosate, okay. If you're buying Roundup Weather Max, what is the concentration of the active ingredient? Roundup Weather Max. You recall? You haven't seen them yet this spring, so it isn't fresh in your mind. 540 grams per liter. Okay, that is Roundup Weather Max. What is the infield rate? What is the low infield rate of Roundup Weather Max? That would be a higher rate, Ernie.
Oh, what?
Yeah, give me the low infield rate. Any ideas? It's that 0.7 is what you're looking at there, okay? So that is Roundup Weather Max, 540 grams per liter, infield rate's about 0.7, alrighty? You slip down to Wallaceburg and you buy a Hero 41 Plus product, alright? Active ingredient is still glyphosate. What is the concentration of the active ingredient? Any ideas? It's a 360, okay? And that's where we're back to the liter rate you're talking about, Ernie,
Oh,
okay? So that's when you start buying glyphosate products, be sure you know what the concentrations are because it affects the rates, alrighty? Touchdown is 480, so that's another one that's thrown in there, okay? So again, you gotta adjust the rates to get the right amount of product on. So that's where you kinda gotta keep that guarantee in mind, or the way you can use it for yourselves. Number 8, registration number. All right, that's the 5-digit number that the federal government gives the product after it's registered. In this case, it's 5X. All right. And number 9 is the name and address of the company registering the product. In this case, it's Pest Management Company. Who are you going to see there? What company is you going to see there?
Monsanto.
Yeah, DuPont, Dow, whoever. Okay? Good enough. That is principal display panel. Everybody good there? All right, flip that over. Secondary display, over on page 38. All right? Secondary display. This is the fine print on the back side of the jug. It is also the little booklet that comes tucked into the sleeve of the product. What is the first thing you do with that little book?
throw it away.
You throw it away. That's exactly what you do. All righty? Yeah. Have you ever got one of those things in spray tank?
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah, a lot of things happen, none of them are good.
Yeah.
Ready? What I'm gonna suggest to you is this. The first one you pluck out of there, keep it to read, okay? Put it in a Tupperware container, put it someplace where you know where it is, alrighty? So you can refer back to the thing and you can have it fairly quickly, alrighty? Now, I'm not saying for a minute you gotta keep 20 of these things, but keep one for every product that you use. And I'll kind of touch on that in a second as well. All right, same deal. Diagram on the left, definitions on the right. I'm going to slide down page 39. We'll just catch these as we go. Direction for use of the product. Everything you need to know about using the product is in directions for use. So what target pest is, what crops, how to mix it, how to use it, how to apply it, how to protect the crop, all that kind of stuff is going to be in directions for use. Okay? Precautions. You're going to find warning statements in here, such as keep out of reach of children, all that kind of stuff. You are going to find the protective clothing in here. Okay? So that's all going to be found in precautions. Number 12 is disposal information. Tells you how to get rid of the container safely. 13 is first aid stuff. This is first response stuff in the field. A lot of this general stuff you guys know anyways. So if you're in a field and a guy gets stuff in his eyes, what are you going to do?
Rinse his eyes out with water, you're gonna get water to him right away for 15 minutes.
That's right.
At least.
Exactly, and that's first response, that's first aid stuff, right there, okay? And that's the kind of information that's gonna be in that section. Number 14, toxicological information. This is gonna be more detailed signs and symptoms of a poison. If a guy's tongue is gonna thicken up, if his ears are gonna get red, those types of things. That's what you're gonna find here. If you have to have an ambulance come to the field, okay, this is the kind of stuff they're gonna wanna know. Alrighty? If you have to take somebody into the hospital in Chatham, if you go rolling in there and you tell the little girl right behind the counter that this guy just got covered with leg on, what's her first question?
What's leg on?
What's leg on? How do you identify that to her?
Bring a label with you.
Exactly, and that's that little booklet that you pulled out of the sleeve, okay? And if you've got them all together, you can sort them on the way to the hospital, but at least you got them, okay? So again, just stuff for you there. Number 15, notice the user. That says that you as the buyer of that product are now responsible for the safe use of that product, okay? So that is secondary display panel right there. Everybody good there? All right, flip that over. We'll backtrack here just a little tiny bit. The hazard symbols, you guys are all familiar with these. There they are there for you. So what's the skull and crossbones mean to you? Poison. What's the hand in the beaker? Corrosive. What's the flame? Flammable. And what is the exploding rocker baseball, what's that doing?
That's fireworks.
It's fireworks.
That's
Alrighty, again, the thing can break apart under the right conditions, right? Alrighty, those are the 4 hazards that we deal with. Down at the bottom of the page are the degree of the hazard. So what is the, what's the triangle mean to you?
The least hazardous, that's caution.
Right, so we got a low-level hazard there, right? What's the diamond? Warning or more moderately poisonous, right? And what does the octagon mean to you? Danger. What is the common denominator there?
They're all hazardous.
They're all hazardous. Common denominator.
More sides, the worse it is.
More points, more dangerous the product is, okay? Again, I was doing this a couple years ago. I had a guy bring in, couldn't find a babysitter for his son. Kid was 8 years old. Kid come in and sat there all day, no problem. He was a good kid. But when we got to this kid just perked right up and he started watching. And we started asking him questions about this. And he knew it immediately, okay? So if you guys have got any employees, anybody that is language challenged at all, okay? Again, you can show them this and they've got it in a heartbeat, all right? Top of 41. You see the chart there on the top of 41? Again, we're gonna deal real briefly with LD50 numbers. I'll come back to them in a bit, but I just wanna touch how they work with the symbols on the can. So you've got the octagon around the poison symbol, then we've got the diamond, and then we've got the triangles. Everybody with me across there? Slide down the left-hand margin. You see where it says acute oral LD50? And again, come to the right. If I see an octagon with a poison symbol on the label, what's that tell me about the LD50 value of that product?
Very poisonous.
Okay, it's gonna be below 500 milligrams per kilogram. That's what I need to know.
Oh,
Okay?
So we say that all in that part there.
Okay? Just looking across, you see where it says acute oral LD50 in the left-hand margin, Pete? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you're with me right there? Okay, so we're coming across here, and then we have LD50 values for the different symbols that show us on the label. So with that in mind, we go to the diamond around the poison symbol, what's the LD50 do?
1,000.
Yeah, between 500 to 1,000, right? All right? If we have a triangle around the poison symbol, what's that do for us?
trying.
Yeah, okay? So again, how you can judge off the label what the approximate LD50 of that product could be. All righty? I want you to dog-ear the corner of that thing right now, because you are coming back to that page. It's going to my mind. Okay? Just make sure you know where it is. With that, flip that over. Top of the next page, they do symbols in combination now. So just going across those, what's the diamond around the poison symbol mean to you?
Warning.
Warning poison, right? This is a moderately poisonous product. The next one is the octagon around the flame. What's that telling you?
Danger, poison.
Yeah, the stuff can go off, right? The stuff can light up on you, and it's fairly apt to do it. You got the triangle around explosive symbol. What's that telling you?
Good explosion.
Under the right conditions, right? Under the right conditions. You're gonna see that on just about every aerosol can, okay? All right, you see word warnings underneath that? All right, bring this back to something you guys are familiar with. All right, WD-40. Okay, we use this stuff like water, right? Did you know there's 3 symbols on the can? Did you ever worry about it before today? Probably not, okay? What's the first symbol you see? And what's around it? Yeah, it's the octagon, right? So we got a highly poisonous product. All right, are we with me there? Okay, second symbol, what we got?
Explosive,
Octagon around the, look again?
the flame.
The flame, all right? You ever run a set of torches in one hand, can in this in the other? Is it flammable? No, you never do that. Is it flammable? All right, again. All right, so we got, what's the last one? And what's around it? Yeah, so it's, that you're gonna see on every aerosol can. All righty? All righty, out of the 3 of those, we've got 2 octagons, right? Which one is the most dangerous to us? Okay, see the word danger? All righty? The word danger is under the one that is the most dangerous to you.
That's the most dangerous.
Yeah, since we've got 2 octagons, okay, we've got 2 octagons, and then we got the word danger. So that indicates that is the one that I'm gonna be concerned with. All righty?
What is that? Is that under flammable? I'm just curious, the most dangerous?
Just the fact that it's a
No,
controlled.
I understand it, but is it under flammable, the most dangerous?
Yep, see it right there?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty, so that's how you tell when you've got two symbols that are the same. Alrighty, underneath that, you talked about word warnings. You guys are all familiar with fluid film, right? Alrighty, so where this go? Okay, right there. Do you see any symbols on that can whatsoever?
No.
Alrighty, nothing there at all. Nothing there at all. Okay, what do you see right down there? Yeah, this is a word warning. Alrighty, this is an American can. Okay, if this is a Canadian can, you have two symbols on there. But since this is American, they do not have the symbols on there. They've just got word warnings. So you kind of got to watch for those as well. Alrighty? And this one here, this is just for fun. You guys familiar with this? Smarter equal to. Heard of this before? No? Cup. Anyway, you guys are growing this stuff. This is soybean oil. Alright? And again, symbol on the can.
Explosive.
Yeah, and that's it. Low level, just because it's in an aerosol can. You guys are growing this stuff. Alright? I wish I could spray it for you, but I can't. The stuff foams up, and then it just oozes in down like it's great on chains, because it just oozes right in, and it goes right in. Alrighty? So again, this stuff is all available to you. TSC and Princess Auto now fetching this stuff up. Okay, so you can find it, and again, you guys are growing it. Alrighty, so just to let you know on the symbol side of it. Okay, so we've done symbols. What else have we done? We've done word warnings. We're good there. Slide over to page 43. Again, just slide down the page there. You see where it says pre-harvest interval in the left-hand margin? Bold print? Okay. What does pre-harvest interval mean to you? You guys have done this before. What's that mean?
That means you can't put it on, like if the pre-harvest is 10 days, then you can't put it on, you can't get into and harvest before 10 days.
Before the 10 days. So what would I be writing down then?
The date you sprayed it.
The date you sprayed it, the last application date, so we know what the window is before we can harvest. Okay? So that's pre-harvest interval. Pre-grazing interval, same deal, only it deals with livestock. And again, pre-slaughter, same deal, just we deal with livestock instead. Okay? Brian, using anything on the cattle, you'd have to worry about on pre-harvest, or excuse me,
Pre-slaughter,
pre-slaughter?
yep, sometimes antibiotics,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Again, we used to feed a fair amount of cattle one time. Still using Ivomec on cattle?
I'm not,
Yeah, okay.
but
We used to use a product called Ivomec. It was a 49-day withdrawal in Ivomec. Okay, that type of thing. All right, restricted entry interval, over at the top of the next page. All right, and I'm gonna, there it is for you. You guys are familiar with this. I wanna go to the top of page 45. All right? And again, it is now, instead of restricted, or you guys are probably familiar with it being called reentry period. It is now a restricted entry interval. So it is the time that you have to wait from the time you apply a product until you can go back in, and now they've taken it right down to doing hand labor, okay? So, top of page 45, if you've got a product that has a 24-hour re-entry interval, 0 to 4 hours, there is no entry into that field. 4 to 12 hours, early re-entry by certified farmer. That's you guys with the green cards, but you're not, you're fully clothed, and but you're not doing any hand labor. All right. 12 to 24 hours, early re-entry by the workers. Again, full protective gear, but no hand labor. And then after the 24-hour period is up, then you're back in hand labor, that type of thing. All righty? Is everybody with me on the concept of that? All right, go back to page 44, just the previous page. Look in the chart. Does everybody see Matador in there? Okay, Matador, you guys are familiar, it's an insecticide. All righty. What's the re-entry on Matador?
24 hours.
24 hours. Okay, a few years ago, we got into an armyworm problem around through this area, and especially up north. All right, what is prime time of day to spray armyworm? You know?
I think it was first thing in the morning when it was cool, wasn't it?
Actually, it's late at night. And the reason is the worm climbs the stalk, because they have to climb the stalk to chew on the leaves. So they climb the stalk, guys are out spraying 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. They got GPS now so they can do this kind of thing. Alrighty, this was a problem. Armyworm was a serious problem. So they spray at 9, 10 o'clock at night. What's the first thing they want to do at 8 o'clock next morning?
Check it out.
Yeah.
Go see whether they killed the bugs, alright? And we had guys walking around up in fields, and of course they're out and they're scouting and they're pushing the grain back and all this kind of stuff. Guys are coming into the elevator at Rutherford, their hands were tingling, their faces were tingling. One guy, his tongue was tingling. He had gotten the product right, he's walking through, rushing through, and he'd gotten it right in his mouth. So 24-hour re-entry. Kind of keep these things in mind, guys. This isn't all orchard and fruit stuff. This is wheat. I mean, this is about as basic as it gets.
What do you call it? It's not acute, what do you call that when it shows up right away? What do you call it?
Yeah, it's an acute toxicity is what it is.
No, but I thought acute was a buildup over time.
Yep, and that is chronic toxicity, whereby
This would be chronic. Oh, yeah, you're right, yeah.
this would be acute because it happened immediately. I mean, these guys were out walking the fields at 8, and by 9 o'clock, you know, they're got problems, okay? Acute or chronic, and we'll get into it more a little bit later. We'll get it from there, okay? Crop rotation statement, you gotta keep this one in mind as well. We struggled with this in ourselves last spring, and Steve, you're probably familiar with this too. We had a late planting season, all right? We were planting beans second week of June, all righty? For the guys that were looking at doing wheat, you had to be real careful on a post-emerge application of a grass herbicide, because the window there can be 4 months. Well, if you're not spraying till the first week of July, that puts you into almost, what is it, July, August, September, October. You're the last week of October, first week of November before you can plant wheat without worrying about residual off of that product. So you gotta be real careful with those things. And again, fairly standard crop and product. So keep those in mind. Total number of applications. Alrighty, and again, some labels will tell you, apply this once a year, twice a year, that's it. Okay? So again, keep those in mind as well. Alrighty, with that. Just flip over, go to page 50 in the booklet, guys. Page 50. Okay, what you should run into is what's called a label quiz. Everybody with me there on 50? All right, it follows through on page 51 and finishes up on page 52. The label you need to answer those questions are the blue pages that follow after that. All right, I got an idea where we're going here? What I want you to do is take 5 minutes or so, work your way through that label quiz. This is a practice run of a label quiz for the exam. All right, take 5 or 10 minutes, run through that, see what you make of it. All right, so let's go back to page 50. We'll go to the top of the page. We'll just start in there. Okay, pause here. All right, so we'll just start moving our way down page 50 there. What's the brand name or trade name of this stuff? What do you got? Just yell her out.
Matador 120 EC, the whole thing, right?
Yep, and again, we're looking for trade name. Matador would have been fine, Peter. But what you'll find in the exam, sometimes more is good. Okay, so don't be afraid to throw it in there. All right, number 2, what's the formulation here? What do you got?
Multiple concentrated insecticide.
Emulsifiable concentrate, okay, that's our formulation. And then we go to the third question, what's this product control?
Insects.
All right, so there's our full product name right there. Number 4, concentration of the active ingredient, what do you got?
120 grams per liter.
120 grams per liter, okay? Everybody got that? Who's making the stuff? Syngenta, okay? Everybody got that? Syngenta crop protection. Syngenta, as long as I know what you're thinking there, okay? But again, sometimes more is good. Pest Control Products Act number, what do you got there?
24984.
24984, okay? Everybody got that? You guys back there all good? We good on that page? Alrighty. Top of page 51. Symbol on the front of the page, what's the hazard?
Poison.
Poison. What's the degree of the hazard? High. Everybody got that? Okay, looking at the next part of the question. Based on the hazard symbol, estimate the range of the acute oral LD50. What do you
500
got?
milligrams per kilogram, is that it?
That's it. You had to go back to that page 41 in the manual. And that's why I told you to dive in the corner of that thing, because you were coming back, okay? So that's where you found that. You should be less than 500 milligrams per kilogram. Number 8, mode of action group number. What do you got? 3. Everybody come up with that one. Alrighty, have a lot of guys missed that one, but we're good there, okay? What should you do if you get this product on your skin? Yeah, we got her back there. Go ahead. Just yell her out.
Rinse skin for 50.
Yeah, rinse skin immediately, okay? Where'd you find that? Did everybody find that? Okay, we're in the first aid section there, we're good, okay? What are the symptoms that could occur if you get this product on your skin? What do you got?
Tingling or numbness?
Tingling or numbness. Did everybody find that one? Okay, looking like it, all right. Number 11, what protective clothing, personal protective equipment are we gonna wear when we mix and load this stuff?
Long pants, gloves.
I'm sorry?
Chemical resistant gloves,
Yeah, what else?
coveralls, goggles, face shield.
Yeah, okay. What I'm gonna do on this one, guys, I'm gonna go right back to where we found it in the book. So I'm going to page 3 of the blue pages, and I'm going to the top of the page, number 2, because I do want you to be sure you got this one. Alrighty? So I'm, excuse me, page 3 of the blues, I'm in number 2 at the top of the page, and I'm down 4 lines. So just count down 4 lines. Second word in, when applying this product, workers should wear long pants, long sleeve shirt, chemical resistant boots. And then it says, in addition. Okay, so in addition, during mixing, loading, cleanup, repair activities, workers must also wear gloves, the goggles, the face shield, and a respirator. Has everybody got that? Okay? Good enough. All right, as long as we're good there. Okay, so that puts us at the end of page 51. Is everybody good there? All right, flip that page over, top of 52. After you apply this product, how long have you got to keep farm workers out of that treated area?
24 hours.
24 hours. Okay, did everybody find that one? Okay, if you're looking, we're on page 3 of the blue pages. Slide down to number 3. There it is right there. Do not allow to enter within 24 hours. As long as everybody's got that, we're good. Above what temperature are you going to store Matador?
0 Celsius.
0 degrees. Everybody find that one? Okay. Number 14. Mary will catch up here in a minute. Okay. 14. What are you going to, or what should, where should you dispose of the empty container? Container collection site. Everybody get that in there? Everybody find where that was? All right. When you apply Matador 120, the field sprayer, you should use nozzles with a spray dropper classification of what? Medium classification. Did everybody find that one? What you got to be careful with on this, guys, is they asked you for field sprayer. Okay? There also is information in there on aerial application. Be sure you stay in the field sprayer section. Okay? If that's what they're asking you for. Number 16, when you apply Matador, the field sprayer, how far have you got to be away from freshwater habitat? 15 meters. Did everybody find that one? Okay, if not, go to the back. Excuse me, it's on page 7 of the blue pages. And you should find a chart. Slide down the left-hand side, it says field sprayer, all field crops. There's our freshwater habitat right there. Okay, 15 meters. All right, that's freshwater habitat. Do you guys know what a terrestrial habitat is? Somebody said terrestrial habitat. What's that mean to you? Any ideas?
Natural habitat?
Natural habitat, what's natural, Ernie?
Like a marsh or a
Woodlot. Woodlot, fence row, undisturbed, okay? That's what you're looking for in terrestrial habitat. Some of you may see that a little bit later. All right? With that, last question here. After you apply Matador 120 EC to sweet corn, how long have you got to wait before you can harvest the crop?
7 days.
7 days. Any other bids?
One day.
Yeah, we're at 1 day. Peter, I want you to just go to the very back there. It's the last page of the blue pages.
I scratched out 1 day my first time I got it.
All right. Last page of the blues. Very last. Okay? All righty. slide down the left-hand side, you see the third gray crop bar, like crops, and it's the third one down. Okay, keep going. And there you are right here. There's our field crop. Okay, and then we're going to slide into the notes, and we're going to come up right there. Do not apply within 1 day of harvest or sweep.
I don't know where it came up with that other,
Okay?
but I had it here, scratched it out for 7 days.
Okay, everybody's good there? Good enough. We go to the label, guys, everybody comfortable with that? All right, let's get up and take a stretch, guys. Coffee, donuts, washers are in the back and down the hall, okay? All right, how are we doing? Everybody got a chance for a stretch? All righty, we're good to go? All right, let's keep rolling. All right. Good, that's not me right here. Good, okay. All right. All right, is everybody good at the labels? Okay, there's a better than average chance you're gonna get to do that again in about an hour, just so you know, okay? All righty. If we're good there, the thing that hooks onto the labels, the next part of it is the MSDS sheets, or material safety data sheets. Okay, so there they are on page 53. I just want to touch these briefly. Okay, so there they are there. Now, with the label, it's got all the information on it you need as far as applying the product and that type of thing. The material safety data sheet is additional information to the label. You get a label with every product you buy. Every jug you buy comes with a label. All right, MSDS sheets, additional information. You have to ask for this stuff. Okay, guys? Either that or you got to look it up yourself. All right? And as far as the information that's there, flip over to page 54. Through 54 and 55. This is all the different kind of stuff you're going to see on an MSDS sheet. The company identification, the composition, the hazards, the first aid measures, firefighting, accidental release, handling, storage, exposure. Top of the next page, physical, chemical properties, stability, reactivity, toxicological, ecological, disposal, transport, regulatory, and other information. Okay? All that kind of stuff is on MSDS. Flip that page over, and they show you an MSDS for that Matador product we just did on the label. Okay? So there it is there for you. And again, all those items that I just mentioned are all there in quite a bit more detail. And it gives you all the, like I say, the physical chemical properties of Matador. That type of thing. All right? All that stuff is there for you. So that is MSDS sheets. So with that in mind, again, if you were looking for an MSDS sheet, where would you look? Where would you go to find it?
Would be a secondary label, but not necessarily there, so you might have to, you could actually call the company that made it or the place that you bought it.
Exactly.
They would either, you'd either find it or they'd lead you to it.
Yeah, exactly. So with that in mind, go back down, and you mentioned just going back to the company. All right, just to show you here, there's just the Monsanto website, so you can go right there. If you guys got smartphones, you could actually do this at the same time. But you can do this right in the field now. Alrighty, so there you are. Go to the Monsanto website, and I'll just use it for an example. I just slide over here and I go to products, and I slide down here and I go to labels and MSDS sheets. Okay, so they bring up products, labels, and MSDS. I'm just going to use Roundup Weathermax. There it is. And it gives me another listing, and there they are right there. So I come down, I go to Roundup Weathermax, which is this one right here. Okay? And there's my label right there. I hit that. I've got a label that quick. Okay? So there's all the label for you right there. I back out one, go back to that main menu, or that menu there. If I want MSDS, there it is right there. I hit it, and I've got an MSDS sheet that fast. Okay? So again, all this stuff's available to you now. It's all done electronically. The other place to go, as you said, Peter, you can go back to the vendor. You can ask the guy on the other side of the counter, I need an MSDS for this product, and they're there to have them there for you. Okay? But again, all this kind of stuff is available to you now, and with the electronic stuff, it makes it pretty slick and quick to get there. All right? So all that stuff is there for you. Alrighty? Alrighty, so that's our MSDS stuff. Flip over to 63, formulation. Okay, formulations is over on 63. Alright, yeah, just throw them up here. Thank you. Alrighty, that's the deal with the gloves this year, guys. Everybody gets a pair of gloves, alrighty? Takes the bite off that $105 pretty quick, don't it? Alright, at least you're gonna go home with something. Alright, just make sure you got a pair that fit. Alright, we'll go to formulations on page 63. Alright, for the most part, what are the formulations you guys deal with? What are the two basic formulations you guys deal with?
Liquids.
Liquids and granules or solids, right? So solids and liquids are the bulk of what you guys deal with. So with that in mind, flip that page over and they look at those different formulations for you. There is solids with a chart on page 64. They list all the solid products down the left-hand margin. They give you a description, the advantage of it, the disadvantage of it, and typical use of that particular formulation. They do liquids on page 65. Again, they list the formula or the liquids down the left-hand side, description, advantage, disadvantage, typical use. They do gases about 3/4 of the way down the page, and they do live organisms at the very bottom, okay? So that stuff is all listed out there for you regarding formulations. All right? Flip that over. Top of the next page on 66. Common abbreviations for formulations. If I ask you what Lexone DF is, what's the DF mean to you? Dry flowable. It's just what the product's like in the jug, right? So we got that. All those short forms are there for you. Adjuvants at the bottom of the page. This one, guys, is starting to show up more, a little more all the time. All right, we're starting to put adjuvants in some of these newer products, so you do have to pay attention to this. So right beside the jug in the bold print there, adjuvant is any substance added to a spray tank to improve the effectiveness of the active ingredient. So what products are we talking about? What do you got?
Sticker.
Yeah, it's the stickers, exactly. It's the stickers. So the Agrol 90s, the Citawet Plus, the Turbocharge, all those kind of things. That's what we're talking about. All right, you guys remember the old Clean Sweep program? Okay, Clean Sweep for soybeans. It was Pursuit, Basagran Forte, Agrol 90, and 28%. Okay, we know the Agrol 90 is an adjuvant or a sticker. Is the 28% an adjuvant? What do you think? Yeah, it is, because it's added in there to improve the effectiveness of that active ingredient, right? So again, 28% in that case is an adjuvant. So you kind of got to keep that in the back of your mind. Go to the top of 67. When to use an adjuvant. And looking in there, do you see the words adjuvant label in bold print? Okay, the adjuvant label states which products and formulations you can use it with and how to use it. The pesticide product label states the adjuvants that can or must be used with it. All right? Now, with what's going on here in the last year or so, the flea bane, all that kind of stuff, guys are going to start mixing stuff just to keep control of this. One that is fairly common right now is Roundup with Aragon. Okay, you familiar with Aragon? All right. When you read the Aragon label, there is an adjuvant that has to go with that. Do you happen to know what it is? Okay? It's a product called Merge, and they are very specific about this. It is listed right on the Aragon label. You read it, it tells you to use Merge. Just because you've got a jug of Agrol 90 laying there, that don't mean anything. It's Merge, okay? So some of these products are going to be very specific about the different adjuvants that they're to be
That'll
mixed
say
with.
that on the label?
So, yes,
Right on the label.
you'll see it right on the Aragon label, okay? All right. With that, flip that over. Pesticide compatibility. Over on 68 there. Again, we run into this up north a little bit. We're in a soybean wheat area. I mean, it's just soybeans and wheat is what it is. And a lot of guys that are running the Roundup Ready soybeans, on that second in-crop pass, of applying the Roundup at that second, third trifoliate stage, the guys wanna put micros in there. So they wanna throw in something like a manganese, alrighty? You've gotta be very careful about which manganese product you use, alrighty? Some of it will mix with Roundup, some won't. I had a guy a couple weeks ago, he ended up with a tank full of, it wasn't Jello, but it was slop, is really what it was. And the manganese and the Roundup didn't like each other, and they gelled up in the tank on it, alrighty? Now, in that case, again, it wasn't so severe that it went hard or anything like that. And what he did, he just kept adding water. He'd spray out as much as he could, went back, loaded it with water again, went back, and he kept putting it out. Like, his rates were all over the place, but he knew that, but it was going where it needed to be, and it was getting rid of the product, okay? The other thing that can happen there is, if you don't get the right manganese, it can actually drop the efficacy of the Roundup by about 40%. Okay, so you're only getting 60% out of the use of your Roundup. So if you're starting to tank mix some of this stuff, be sure stuff's gonna mix up for you, alrighty, because you can run into problems there. Alrighty, as far as tank mixing, down the bottom of the page, and I think more guys are gonna get into this year, they give you the order of the different formulations to go into the tank. So there it is there, down at the bottom of the page. So wettables go in first, okay? Of course, you got water in the tank, but the wettables go in first, you agitate, liquids go next, emulsifiable concentrates after that, solutions or surfactants last, alright? If you look at the letters down the left-hand side in bold print, and you read it down, what's it say?
Whales.
Whales, alright? So if you guys are tank loading this spring, and you start to see fish floating by in your mind, it's my fault, alright? Alright? Again, just, once you get that in your mind, you will actually start looking and trying to figure this stuff out, alright? So again, whales, alright. We good there? You got a handle on that? Alright, with that, flip that page over, guys, go to page 71. Alrighty, resistance. I want to deal with this, and I'm going to veer away from the book a little bit. I got some stuff for you to have a look at on the screen. So the one thing I do want you to catch out of the book right off the bat, though, before we start, slide down the left-hand margin. You see the bug standing there all on his own? Right beside that, you see the words mode of action? Mode of action is where the chemical goes within the weed to kill it, all right? All chemicals that kill the weed in a certain way are put into the same group. Okay, like all the glyphosate products, they all translocate, go through the weed and go to the root and kill it. They will all be put into group 9s. Alrighty? All the 2,4-Ds, the bandals, the ones that, the hormones, basically they grow the plant to death, they'll be put into group 4s. Okay? So every chemical that kills the weed a certain way is put into the same group. Is everybody with me on that? Alright. With that, taking a look at the screen, do you think this guy's got a resistance problem? Isn't that something? Alrighty. This is giant ragweed. It is someplace down in the southern US, I think, is where we got this from. What is that combine? Is it about 14 feet to the top of that bin? It'd be all of that, wouldn't it? Alrighty, have a look out over top. This stuff's gotta be what, 16, 18 feet tall. Like, this is nasty stuff.
He's on the res.
What's that?
He's on reserve.
Yeah. Well, they can grow stuff like that out there. Tell ya. Look at the corn in the bin. Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. So again, these are the kind of things you kind of want to stay away from. Alrighty. This one here, this is an aerial picture and it's out of the west. Okay, if you can believe it, both of these fields are canola. Both of them. Okay? This one has a weed in it called kochia. And for those guys that aren't familiar with kochia, it is basically a tumbleweed. Is what it is. Okay? And we do have kochia in Ontario. Not a lot, widespread, but we do have kochia. Alrighty? Again, this is canola down in here. Alrighty? And again, we're in the air, but do you see, like this, would you say this guy here's done a pretty good job of controlling for the most part? All right, you see these streaks out through there? Are you with me there?
Yeah.
All right, those are not ravines or anything like that. This is kochia that is rolled out of this field, and there it is starting to show up in this one. All right, and that's just how quick this stuff can move on you. All righty? So just to give you some thoughts there. This one here. Okay, and I know this is small and it's hard for you to see. You see the weeds out in here? That's what a lot of soybean fields looked like in about 2013. That's Canada flea bane out there. Okay? And guys that have the odd plant here, the odd plant there, we're really quite sure what it was. But, you know, not enough to really get that concerned about. All right? When I was doing this 2 years ago in 13, you talked about Canada flea bane, guys that look at you, what are you talking about? You know, what's that stuff? We don't know. They know today. And again, last summer, I'm not sure I saw one this bad, but we had some up around us were pretty nasty. Okay? So again, just stuff you get into. All right? Now to give you just a little background here, everybody's concerned about resistance and in particular glyphosate resistance. So just so you know, there are 31 species in the world that are resistant to glyphosate. 31 species in the world. 14 of those are in the US. And 5 of the 14 are grasses. We don't have any grasses in Ontario yet that are resistant. But they've got 5 in the states that are. All right? And just for you guys down here, there are 7 different chemistries that are showing resistance in Kent County. All right? So more than the glyphosate, more than the atrazines, more than the sulfonylureas, all that kind of stuff, there are 7 chemistries in Kent showing resistance. And that's what you guys need to know down here. All right? In 1999, in eastern Canada, which is Ontario East, which is basically us in Quebec, all righty, there was 3 million liters of Roundup used, or glyphosate, or say glyphosate, 3 million liters in 1999. In 2012, eastern Canada, we used 14 million liters. We went up by almost 5 times in a little over 12 years. All right? So, hence, we have resistance issues.
I'm not familiar with glyphosate, except you're using.
Glyphosate is Roundup.
Oh.
Okay, Peter? All righty? It's just the active ingredient Roundup. You keep Roundup in mind, you know what I'm talking about. All right? In Ontario, we now have 4 weeds that are confirmed resistance to glyphosate or Roundup. Okay? So we've got giant ragweed, we've got Canada flea bane, of course, this thing just exploded on us last year. Common ragweed, and then water hemp. Are you guys familiar with water hemp? What it looks like? Alrighty. Looks an awful lot like pigweed. And I've got a picture to show you here in a minute. Okay? But it looks an awful lot like pigweed. Alrighty. Little background here, giant ragweed. Now, my slides are a little dated, so we're back to 2008, 2011 in that range, so we'll say 11. 71 resistant sites to giant ragweed resistant to glyphosate. And just take a look where it is. I mean, it's basically the 4 counties down in this end. Okay? So that is giant ragweed. I want to make you aware of that. And that is single glyphosate resistance.
Why do you think that is? Because vegetable growers, maybe something to do with that?
No, it's just the fact that we have overused Roundup. Okay? We've used too much of it, the weeds have adapted, this is where we're at. This one here, and you notice there's only about 4 pins on there. This has multiple resistance. This is giant ragweed with multiple group resistance. So not only is it resistant to glyphosate, you can't take it down with a group 2 product, like a first rate or something like that. Alrighty? So multiple resistance here. Alrighty, and that's back about 2011. That map, we've got a lot more pins on that map today. Alrighty, common ragweed. In 2011, there was only 1 site that had resistance to common ragweed, and this is glyphosate resistance to common ragweed. And it was down in Essex, and it was the airport, is where they found it. Okay? In 2014, there are now 5 sites. They're still all in Essex County. Alrighty? But 100% of those sites are also group 2 as well as group 5 resistant. So again, you're not knocking this stuff down with first rate or pursuit or anything like that. All right, so we've got some issues there. This was Canada fleabane last year. All right, it has spread across 25 counties on the south end of the province here. Like when we go to the training session in November, and if you talk to the guys from the far east, hey, down out in here, those types, they don't know what you're talking about yet as far as resistance on the glyphosate, because they're just not dealing with it. And we're just, all we said was, you know, stay tuned, because it's coming. All righty. This one here, this is Canada fleabane with multiple resistance. So now you got fleabane that's resistant to group 9, which is the Roundup, as well as the group 2s, again. And there could be some 5s in there as well. I don't know whether we're in the 5s yet, but okay. So again, lots of sites around the countryside. This one here really, really concerns me, because I live under the one. Okay, so that one's reasonably close to me. We're accusing all the neighbors, but we haven't found out who he is yet. All right. In 2014, this is the area of the province that had multiple resistance to Canada fleabane. Okay, or Canada fleabane with multiple resistance. You notice how it's grown out of this 4 and 5 county area in the south, and now it's spread across the province as well. And we're dealing with about 12% of the population. Alrighty, so this thing is, it is going to be a bit of a problem for us. Alright, just to kind of sum the thing up for you, there's our 4 weeds on the left-hand side: the water hemp, the ragweed, the giant ragweed, and the fleabane. You might as well add Lambton County in here, because we've got it in Lambton, there's no doubt about it. Alrighty, you mentioned the island back there. It's out on the island, no doubt. The water hemp is out there. Ran into a guy a couple weeks ago. They were breaking knives on this stuff. They were trying to combine last fall, and the stuff is getting big enough they're breaking knives. He said if you could cut it and get it in the machine, it's like trying to thresh a small tree. Okay, so again, this water hemp is going to be a nasty one, and it's here. Okay,
It's in quarter beans, like,
it was beans he was dealing with.
cause we got 9 on the island. Like,
Do ya?
how bad it was getting over.
Is that right? Yeah.
We haven't seen it, did you see any asphalt yet?
Not yet?
No, not in our field, no.
Okay. All right, we'll talk at lunch. Okay. Yeah, they were struggling, he said. Yeah. All right, this is multiple resistant weeds in Ontario. This is glyphosate in first rate, so this is group 9 and group 2. All right? And again, you might as well add Lambton County in there on the water hemp. Yes, sir?
Is water hemp a broadleaf?
Water hemp looks like a pigweed, Brian. If you give me about 2 minutes, I'm gonna show you a picture of it, okay? And again, this thing is just, these resistant weeds are really gonna start to create a bit of a weed control challenge is really what it's gonna be. Alrighty? Now, as I said earlier, I did this 2 years ago, this course 2 years ago. I talked about Canada fleabane. Guys had no idea what I was talking about. You kind of really had to tell them what it looked like. Okay? Peter, you know what I'm talking about? Fleabane? You know what goldenrod looks like? Okay, fleabane looks like goldenrod, except instead of the yellow flower, you still get a yellow flower, but the seed head is like a dandelion.
Okay, yeah, see.
Okay? And it pops, and when it does, away it goes. All righty? I don't mean to fearmonger with this. This is not my intention. But this thing here is in Michigan. It's called Palmer amaranth. It's been described to me different times as a pigweed on steroids. Okay? This thing it can be nasty. All right? They've got it in Michigan right now. It is resistant to group 9s, group 5s, and group 2s, which really limits, for the guys in soybeans and wheat, it sure limits your weed control options. Okay? So again, this thing it's over there. I was talking to guys, I was down in Louisville this year, and I was talking to different chem rep guys, and this thing is making them nervous. It is a southern U.S. weed, so it came from Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, down in there. It has been brought up here in the cotton hulls that they truck up here to feed the dairy cattle in Michigan. That's how it got here. Okay, we're talking about the movement on Canada flea bane. What is that? Like, it's that parachute, right? It blows. This stuff is physical. It has to be literally carried. It's a bigger, heavier seed. The thing that concerns me is the amount of equipment that's moving across the border, and the fact that there's trucks crossing that border to go into ethanol that run it every day. Alrighty? So chances are we're gonna see it before too long. Alrighty? And just to give you an idea on this stuff, I just wanna read my notes here. After 4 inches high, which is about like that, this stuff can grow 2 to 3 inches a day. Alrighty? They are talking plants down in there, they will get big enough, they will have stems on them the size of baseball bats. Literally stop a combine. Okay? So again, this thing is there, we could have a problem. Alrighty? Brian, just back to what your question was, there is Palmer amaranth, beside, there's water hemp, very, very similar, okay? And there's green pigweed. Again, very, very similar. To pick out Palmer amaranth, the easiest way to pick it out is, you've got your main stem right up through here. You see where the leaf hooks onto the main stem with that other little additional stem there? That's called a petiole, all right? If you break that off right there and fold it over the leaf, fold it right at the base of the leaf, the petiole will be longer than the leaf. That tells you whether you've got Palmer amaranth or not, all righty? And again, not confirmed in Ontario yet, but not very far away. All righty? So again, just something for guys to kind of consider down the road.
Another question, Alan.
Yeah.
What group is 2,4-D dicamba?
4.
4.
Yep. Okay. But that creates a real challenge for the guys that are like the soybean wheat guys up around us. And I know you've got some agriculture down in Essex too, like the soybean wheat areas. That creates a real challenge for guys because there is no Group 4 herbicide in soybeans yet. Okay.
So cold weather doesn't slow down Palmer amaranth? Because it's from the south, it's like the frost and cold freezing.
It'll freeze it out, but it seems to me, it's flea bane will germinate 11 months of the year, and I'm not so sure that Palmer will as well. And the other thing with Palmer is there's a male and female plant. We're used to kind of an asexual reproduction. This thing is going to have a male and a female. And apparently the seed heads on the female are just huge. They're talking anywhere from 100 to 500,000 seeds per plant. All right? So just brighten up your day is all I'm trying to do. Okay? All righty? This one here, having a look at those two fields, and this is a line fence down the middle of this thing. All righty? And I found out a couple weeks ago that is Peter sick of his truck. And he's actually working in another field. But they got looking at this thing side by side. If you had to put a machine in there, which field would you rather be in? Yeah, the one on the left. All right. There's the field history on the thing. So the field on the left, corn, soybeans, wheat rotation, worked in the spring, glyphosate used in corn and soy. The one on the right, 6 years, Roundup Ready beans, no-till field. All right. All right. Good enough. I gave you guys a handout that looked like this. You guys wouldn't mind picking that up for me. Has everybody got one? Brian, we don't have one for you. All right. This is the very same pages you're going to find in here. All I did was shorten it up for you because I can't carry 30 of these things around. All right, so same thing you're going to find in the weed control book. So looking at the front page. All righty, front page of that, page 29, it follows through on page 30 and actually goes to the very top of page 31. But all the chemicals in Ontario are listed there for you on those two or three pages. Okay, So they're all listed out for you, they're listed by trade name, which is what you guys are familiar with. Okay? And they're also listed in alphabetical order. So if you're looking for something, then look it up in alphabetical order. Beside the trade name is the active ingredient. Okay? So let's just go to, I don't know. There's Banville down there, number 18 on the very left-hand side. All right? Everybody with me on Banville? What's the active ingredient? Dicamba. All right? So now when we flip the pages over, and we go to page 31, all right, when we go to page 31, now they are listed out by active ingredients. So they've switched it on you. All right, so you need the first two pages as reference pages to get yourself to the active ingredients so you can look the things up. All right, so let's just stick on, let's just stick on page 31. Is everybody with me there? Slide down, you see, we're going down to 2,4-Ds. Okay, you see the yellow line? All right, go across on the yellow line, and you see the formulation, you see the concentration, and then you see what are called group numbers. And that is what I meant earlier when I said how a weed works on or how a chemical works on a weed, it's put into a different group. Well, there's your group numbers right there. You remember I mentioned classes the very first thing this morning? If you skip that next column, the PCP Act number is there, and then there's your class numbers there as well. Okay? So all that stuff is there for you. Everybody got a handle on what I'm doing here? All right, what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna take my 3-crop rotation for the last 3 years, okay? And I'm a corn, soybean, wheat guy, so I'm pretty much the same as a lot of you guys. So, in your manuals, just in the manual there should be a blank page on page 7. Am I with me there? Okay, well, as I'm writing mine down, what I'd like you guys to do is kind of think back and figure out, or just try and remember what you were using last year on your different crops. Okay, so I'm going into corn, I'm going to start there. Okay, so there's my corn. I use Halex GT and Atrazine. You guys that are growing corn, what did you use in corn last spring? Just jot her down, you can remember. Okay? All right, for soybeans, I grow IP beans, so I am conventional chemical. All righty, so, but I'm also a no-tiller. So I go in, it's Roundup as a burn down, Roundup, plus a product called Canopy Pro. All right, so that is all burned down pre-plant. I go in and I plant, and then I pre-emerge, so before the beans can get up, I go in and I use Boundary LQD. All righty? Wheat. I use Botryl M as a weed control. All right, and I'm a red clover guy, underseed red clover, so I go into the fall and I have to take it out. So I use Roundup. And I use Banville. It's actually Banville too. Alrighty, so that is my 3-crop or chemical rotation over 3 years on those particular farms. Alrighty, kind of doing your own as we go along. Alright, now what I want to do is go back into these charts that we're looking at and figure out how many groups we're using, what we're putting on those fields. Okay, so first thing I want to run into is I want to go to page 32. And again, I've set this up with yellow lines. It makes it easy for you to pick them out. So I'm using atrazine. Look to the right side. What am I using? What's the group number of atrazine? 5. Right? Everybody with me there? Slide down the page. There's Botryl M. What group numbers am I using with Botryl M? I'm still on page 32 here. 4 and 6.
4 and 6.
Yeah, okay. You guys know what Botryl M is? just MCPA harder, that's all it is, okay? Slide down to the very bottom of the page, there's my Canopy Pro. All right, group numbers on Canopy Pro, what do you got?
2 and 5.
2 and 5, okay? Canopy Pro is basically classic and it's Metribuzin. Okay, it's called Trico, but it's Metribuzin is what it is. Okay? Alrighty, flip that page over. Go to page 33. Just slide down the page. There's my Banville. What group number with Banville? Okay, what we got? It's a 4. All right, I threw marksman in there because I know some guys, there is a fair amount of marksman used on corn, so there's the group numbers on marksman. All righty. Carry on here, I'm going to flip over to page 35. Okay, so 35, and you notice just after about the first 4, you're into all the glyphosate products. Okay, so I'm going to slide down. I'm using Roundup Weather Max. What group number with Roundup Weather Max? Is a 9. Okay, so I've got it there. I've got it there. Okay, my Halex GT, right down towards the bottom of the page. What group numbers there?
927, 15.
9, 27, and 15. Okay. Alrighty, carry on. Get over to the page 38 here. And again, I marked up a few extra ones in here. Just because they're fairly common stuff. So there's Infinity, Aragon. I'm hearing a lot of guys looking for Aragon this year. Alright. Integrity in there as well. The one I'm after is Boundary LQD. What's my group numbers there? 5 and 15. Okay? Alrighty, I think we got everything there now. Alright, question being, how many group numbers am I using on those farms over a 3-year rotation? Okay, I'm using a 9, using a 27, using a 15, I'm using a 5. Already used the 9, already used the 5, using the 2, 5 is gone, 15 is gone, 4, 6, 9's gone, 4 is gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 different groups over a 3-year term. What do you think?
I think it's great because you got different, for anything getting immune to it, or I mean, like you're so many different groups that you're gonna target, if you target, like a 2 will get one weed and a 9 will get another weed, and
Exactly.
anything with resistance to it, you're gonna minimize it anyways.
That's the plan. That's the plan. And I think if you listen to guys like Monk Cobra and some of the chemical guys, this is what they're looking at as one tool. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
That formulation, will you refresh me on what that means again? Wettable powder, that's the state that it's in, right?
Yeah, it's just what it's like in the jug, dude.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Okay? All right? So again, you guys doing your own? What are you coming up with? What do you think? You're coming up with Steve.
I just use soy and wheat rotation.
Yeah.
I use 4.
Use 4 on the,
I
then
use 1 with wheat and then 3 at the wheat.
yeah. Okay? So 4 over 2 crop. You're not in bad shape. Okay? All right, where we at?
4.
4? And you're over how many?
3.
Over 3? Okay. All righty. Again, I think, again, talking to Mike Cobra, those guys, the more you can stretch this out, the more you can get in here, the better off you're gonna be, all right? Now, I did this I've been doing it for a while. And I had one guy, and I've had different guys, kick the chair back, that's easy, it's 1. Okay, it's a corn soy rotation, they don't grow wheat, it's 1. All righty. And then the very next concern was, they start looking at something like this, Because their weed control costs have been what? $5 or $10 an acre for the last 10 years? They see something like this, oh my God, what does that cost? All right, and that's where guys are gonna, it's gonna be a real day of reckoning here, is the old days of the $5 and $10 weed control are gonna be pretty tough to stick with, okay?
The problem is the Roundup charge they charge. We're still paying that
On the
Roundup.
On the seed, on the TUAs, I've heard that too.
We're losing the effectiveness.
Yeah, and that's been a comment a couple times, I'm already paying the TA, and now I've got to go back to,
Losing that.
yeah, you see this here, that one right there, ballpark 40 to 45 bucks an acre,
Exactly.
okay? When you've already paid TUA on the seed, it's hard to swallow that one as well. But that's where guys are gonna have to start reconciling what they're doing here, okay? Kinda got a handle on what I'm doing? Alrighty, and again, the idea behind that is if you didn't get it done, don't worry about it. But do take the time when you get home, work your way through this, okay? Ernie, you must run into it more with insect stuff, or not?
I'd say insects, because we're on a 3-year rotation just in one crop.
Yeah,
So we'll, when we harvest all summer, we'll just let that grow through and spray her down, kill it,
yeah,
and then work it and then plant her.
yeah,
So we don't put a lot of chemicals in. I
okay,
got my mowers and I got everything set, so when I go down there, I wear my yellow shooting balls. When I see a weed, I turn my sprayer on, shut it off.
yeah,
You know, so I can spray the whole farm in 30 gallons if I look after the pH right.
Right.
Everything like that.
All I-
Even with insects, pH is a big thing.
it's a real issue with insects.
Yeah.
We'll touch that this afternoon too, okay? But yours is more of a rotational on the insecticide side than the herbicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay? Again, just something for you to think about there, guys. All righty? With that, I got something else just to kind of follow up on this. And this takes me to this, and this is internet stuff, so you're not gonna see this in the book. But this is called Weed Pro 75. So this is the electronic version, basically, of that weed control book. And the neat thing about this is, you can have a look at it. After you've done that, and decide you might have to make a move or something, that type of thing, you can go have a look at this, and it's gonna kind of help you just figure out where or what your options are. So, you go in here, and again, it's weedpro75.com is what it is. And this won't be listed in your manual anywhere, so if you want this, you gotta jot it down. You get to select the crop, and I hope everybody can see this, because it is small. For you guys back there, it's small, no doubt. All right, but you get to choose your crop. All right, so what do you like, corn or beans? Beans, okay? Beans work good for this example. I'm gonna leave them as conventional. All right, it broadens the options, is what it does, okay? So we've got that, we've got our crop selected, conventional practice. We go to field data, so this little screen comes up. You can put in the field name, like if it's the Johnson farm, then that's what it is, okay? You can put in the field size, I'm just gonna put in 50 acres. You can get to put in the application timing, so pre-plant, pre-emerge, or post-emerge, okay? I'm kind of a pre-emerge guy from the simple fact of my soil type. If I get there once, I know I can get there. If I'm waiting for post-emerge and I get a 3-inch rain the day before I gotta do it, I'm in trouble. So I'm just gonna leave it as pre-plant or pre-emerge, so I don't need to worry about leaf stage, because we're pre-emerging. Alrighty? Estimated weed-free yield, 50 bushel. Are you happy with that? I'm in Don Township, I'm really happy with 50 bushel. That's a good thing. Selling price, $9. You guys gonna sell beans for $9? Probably not. What can you contract new beans today for?
11:15.
Okay. 11.15. We're good with that? Okay, so we stick that in. Sprayer water volume, that's 50 liters. That is about 12 US gallon. Okay, so we're not in bad shape there. And application cost, it's in here at $9. I'm gonna leave it, okay? Because whether you run your own machine or whether you have to hire a machine done, there is a cost. All right, so we move on to the next page. And they give us all bunches of weeds here. Alrighty, and I realize this is hard for you to see, but if you do this at home on your screen, you'll be able to see what's going on. Since I've got the computer, I get to pick the first weed. So I'm going to flea bane, can of flea bane, glyphosate resistance. So I click on it, and then up comes this little map, and I get to choose how many I've got. Okay, so keep in mind, this is measured on weeds per meter squared. Okay, a meter squared is about 10 square feet. And for lack of a better measuring tool, it is roughly the size of that table in front of you, roughly. Okay, so if you were dealing with can of flea bane, you were looking at that table in front of you, how many in that area could you have? And I get to choose from one. Like I can have a few, or I can have a bunch, or I can have a whole lot. Okay? So what do you think? Few or a bunch? What do you think, Steve? Give me a number.
30.
30? Okay.
I got a problem.
Okay, so there's 30. So we're gonna save that weed. So go back into our weed list. Give me another weed. I'm sorry? Lamb's quarters. Okay, so we're down here. So now we got even more choices. Group 2 resistant, Group 2 and triazine resistant. Which one? Triazines. Okay, so we'll pick him. How many you got? Few or bunch? Bunch? Give me a number. 50? Okay. It's gonna be a bit of a challenge. This is one ugly field. All righty. So we got a couple. Give me one more.
Fruit and grass and
Which grass don't you like to do?
barnyard grass.
Barnyard grass. We got that, I do, right up there. Throw barnyard grass in. That stuff can be really thick, right? So how many of them have we got?
We're only gonna use 15 of them. We have too much other stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
So let's get choked up.
Okay. There's our grass. What did I hear, 15?
Sure.
Okay. So we're gonna save that guy. Okay, so that's 3. That's enough for what we're doing, okay? But get the gist of where we're going with this thing. Okay? So we go next. And what we get is a whole listing of the chemical that is available to you. And again, I realize this is small, okay? But the best match would be Integrity, Roundup Weathermax, and Merge. And that'd be your best match. Your cost is gonna be around 27, 28 bucks an acre. Now, the numbers aren't perfect, but they're close. Keep it in mind, there's a $9 application fee in there, okay? So your actual chemical cost there would be ballparking 18, 19 bucks. Okay? You get to look at all the alternatives that are there for you. They list them in ranking, which one would probably do the best job. The cost is all there. Okay? All the costing is all there. That little icon right there, that little gold icon, that is the one that is the best match and will do the best job. I believe that's right down most profitable and cleanest field.
What a great program.
Okay? Looking out here on the far right-hand side, do you notice the little grasses and the little broadleaf? This indicates that there is residual activity to this. Okay, so it's not just straight contact, you've got some residual to this. All right? And again, if you really want to pump her up, there's Conquest, which is just Pursuit and Sencor plus Volterra. But you're looking at $53 an acre here. All right? So again, after doing that, you can come to this and start looking at the options. All right? You can do this at home. Okay? So I just thought I'd show you that thing just to give you an idea. It's just some of the stuff that's available. Okay? And again, it's called weedpro75.com. That's what you're looking at there. All right? Good enough.
Who does that?
It's done, I think that's Mike Cobra, isn't it?
Yes, it would be Mike Cobra, who is guide weed control, is publication 75, so Weed Pro 75 matches
Okay.
up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it just gives you a tool you can play with.
Yeah.
And it'll work out. Okay? Because again, I think, guys, this spring, you've got to have a few alternatives here. All right, with that,
Yeah, they're really pushing Centcor for sleeping at the Coma.
yeah, the thing with Sencor though is, Steve, and it's great for you and I, okay? But for a guy like Mark, and you've got some lighter ground, don't you, Mark? He ain't looking for Sencor, because they're talking rates. That program right there gives me 425 grams of metribuzin. 425 on his ground, there's nothing left. He'll just burn it up. So Sencor is gonna be real specific to soil types, okay? And Peter Secamo in college has had the best results with Sencor. But he's talking 400 grams of active.
It was really heavy.
Wait, yeah, which pushes us up to 600 of product. So it's, and even, I'd be a little nervous at 600, but even on our stuff. Sure. At home, okay? Just so you know, flea bane, Peter's results on Roundup and Aragon, about 77%. Roundup and 2,4-D, again, in that 75 to 77%. Okay? Tillage apparently is working, but it has to be very aggressive. And again, they were talking 3-inch depth. Like the vertical tillage just isn't gonna, it's just not gonna do it because it's not tearing the root out. Okay? And for us, if we work ground 3 inches deep in the spring, you might as well take the fall off because there's not gonna be anything there. Okay? So these are the things that I think you guys need to be kind of looking at, different options, what's out there. Get talking to your chem guys, like your sales reps, those kind of guys, see what's going on. Okay? We had that, I don't have it with me, Susan, that chart that came in the country guide.
Oh, great.
Okay, we don't have it with us. Did anybody get the country guide? Okay, was it last week we found that? 2 weeks ago. There is a pullout in there, and it's from Monsanto, but it all folds out, and it gives you all the different groupings of chemicals. It's all color coded. The thing is it's a really handy tool. And if you get a chance, when you get home, look that up, pull it out of there. It folds out, gosh, it'll be half the size of that table. But it gives you some options there too. Okay? So again, all that kind of stuff is there for you if you go look at it. All right? With that, oh, the only other thing I want to touch here while we're in this section, I handed you out that brochure for Enlist, okay? Enlist is going to be the 2,4-D resistant soybean that is coming. And the partner to that, and again, it's the handout here. Yeah, one of those colors. You know, right there. Okay? That is going to be the 2,4-D resistant soybean. The Extend product is going to be the Banville resistant soybean. Okay? Again, it's going to give us, and back, I think back to your question, Brian, about the group 4. This is the opportunity to get the group 4 into the soybean rotation. By the looks of it. Okay? The only thing, the thing that it's going to do is widen out the drift issues. And it's going to expand them over more acres. Like you say Banville down here in Kent County, and the tomato guys just shake their heads and no, we don't want anything to do with that. Okay, the tobacco guys, Lorraine, we were talking about the greenhouse, okay? Again, vapor moving into those greenhouses can cause you guys problems, okay? So again, that's kind of what we're into there, alrighty? For us up where we're at, Steve, it's going to be that field of 2,4-D ready or Banville ready soybeans beside the field of IPs. And that's going to cause, you know, drift issues are really going to start to show, okay? So again, those are all available to you. It's looking like the launch on that stuff is going to be about 2016. So it could be next year. All right?
Just to kind of counter that, the 2,4-D is a different formulation of 2,4-D. It's Colonel D or something. And that Dow company's gonna come out and tell you, you're gonna almost be able to plant it right next to IPV soybeans. As long as you're not spraying in a 50-mile-an-hour wind, right? There's a lot of different things in that brochure that you have to do differently. Nozzle tips, speed, volume of water that you're using. So it's actually can be used if you follow the label.
Okay? And again, just, yeah, it's,
But it's your risk too.
yeah, it's all at risk. We're used to amine and ester, right, on the 2,4-D? Okay, the one they're gonna use in there is called a choline. Okay, so it'll be 2,4-D choline. So different formulation, different chemistry
Yeah.
is what it is. Okay? Good enough. Are we good there? Now that I've scared the stuff out of you and all that kind of stuff? All right? With that, let's get back to the book, guys. We'll go to page 79 is the environment section. I am gonna basically just flip over the environment section. You will run into a question or two on it on the exam. If you do have a problem, you just come in here, look up the information, away you go. Okay? If you do have a major problem, just ask me. Okay? Well, for the purpose of today, I think I'm just gonna go over it. What I do wanna touch in the environment is the bee issue over on page 89. Okay? And again, everybody knows the issue with the neonicotinoid seeds and all that kind of thing with the bees. Again, there's information coming out almost daily on this as to what's going on and what's gonna happen. Again, it's just as long as you're aware of that as we go along. The only one or two things I wanna touch on, and again, it's back to one of those handouts I gave you, the fluency powder. Okay, first off, how many guys are using air delivery planters for either corn or soybeans? By that, I'm talking about a John Deere back or a King Deere, anything like that. No? Nobody today? Alrighty. Brian, you got one? Okay. Again, on the air delivery planters, the fluency powder is to be the agent in there to lubricate the plant. Alrighty. For the guys with finger pickups or drills or anything like that, from what I understand, we're still okay to use graphite, that type of thing. Okay? So that, again, keep that in mind if you're into air delivery stuff. Alrighty? And that kind of eliminates this for today. Alright, good enough. Flip that over. Let's go to page 95 here, guys. We'll run through a couple sections fairly quick, and then get you working on the first half of this exam. So over on 95, health risk of pesticide use. Everybody with me there? Okay, slide down the page. You see the words risk equals toxicity times exposure in the box. They give you a definition of what those words mean right underneath that. So toxicity measures how harmful or poisonous the product is. Exposure is to measure the contact you have with the product. Okay? So again, the results is just what your risk is in accordance to what those are. All right? Flip that over. Peter, you were mentioning this earlier this morning, the acute toxicity and the chronic toxicity. There they are down on, just slide down the left-hand margin. You see the word acute toxicity in bold print. Okay? Again, what was that? What is acute toxicity?
It's a result from a single dose of exposure to a pesticide over
Yes.
a short period of time.
Yes, single dose symptoms are immediate. That is back to the guys walking through the field with the Matador this morning. That is acute toxicity. Chronic toxicity, what is that?
Long-term effects.
Long-term, okay. And what I've run into there is guys with, remember DNL? With DNL and seed corn, that kind of stuff. I've run into a lot of guys that have reactions to DNL. Okay, they can't even touch the stuff anymore. Alrighty. Down the bottom of the page, LD50 numbers. You guys have done all this before. What does a low LD50 number mean to you?
Really bad.
Very toxic, okay? What's a high number mean to you? Less danger, that's a good way to put it, okay? Less danger. So top of the page there, top of 97. Pesticides with low LD50 values of 0 to 10 are extremely toxic. Okay, you get down in there and these things are just plain nasty. Alrighty, look at the chart. Alright, fairly common stuff when you get looking at it. Like there's Matador, all familiar with Matador, right? LD50, 64 to 110, showing you that octagon around the poison symbol. Alright, look at the next one. Here's headline. That usually, a lot of guys are surprised by that. So there's headline, LD 50, 200 to 500, again, the octagon around the poison symbol. Infinity, 700 to 1200, showing you the diamond. There's the Sencor we were talking about. 1078 to 1865, showing you the triangle. All right. Again, there is Roundup. All righty. And have you noticed, as the toxicities have gone down, the symbols have changed? It's right down to the point where Roundup doesn't have a symbol, greater than 5,000. What's that telling you about Roundup?
Pretty safe.
It's pretty mild stuff. Okay? From a toxicity point of view, it's pretty mild stuff. All righty. Good enough. Flip that page over. A couple things here. Just down page 98, just looking at sensitization and allergies. Okay, that information's all there for you. Cancer risks are over on page 99. That information's all there for you. All righty. I want you to slide right up the top of 101. You see where it says take-home exposure? All right. Everybody with me there? Take-home exposure. What is take-home exposure?
Shoes.
Might be on your gloves, on your shoes, on
Exactly.
your hair.
And that's what it is. So if you're out in the field spraying, all right, it comes up lunchtime, head off for lunch someplace. If you don't, again, peel those clothes off, do something. That stuff is carried right into the pickup, all that kind of stuff. That is take-home exposure. The other one that is really closer to you, and you may not realize it, it goes into the cab of the tractor as well, all right? So that tractor you're spraying with in the spring, Ernie, you may be mowing grass with later on in the year,
Yeah,
like you're in it
yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
is what I'm getting at. So you could be exposed to the chemical you sprayed 3 months ago, is what I'm getting at on that. Okay? So again, keep that in mind on the take-home exposure. All righty?
Are the CAD filters really effective now?
Yeah, yeah. You're talking the charcoals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve. You can give me till this afternoon, we'll go right through that little section, and we'll get back to them, okay? All right. Pesticide poisons on 103. All right. And with this, down at the bottom, they give you the 4 routes of entry into the body. I want to do them in more detail. They're on, flip the page, they go into them in more detail on that page, so I want to go there. So through your mouth is ingestion. So basically drinking the product in or taking it in some fashion. If you think about that, it's not hard to do, okay? You're loading a sprayer, maybe you're out at the barn or something like that, you're loading the sprayer, you go by the house, get a little hungry, want something to drink, you go in, you grab an apple, pop, whatever. Not hard to figure out how you can get into ingestion real quick. Alrighty, as far as preventing it, again, it is cleanliness, housekeeping stuff. Through your lungs, breathing the product in. How to prevent it, gives it to you there at top of 105. Through your skin and eyes, okay? Again, your skin and your hands, your skin and eyes, that is your highest rate of exposure. You're handling the product in the most concentrated form, therefore your risk is higher right there. The one I want you to catch is your eyes. What's the absorption rate in your eyes?
100%.
Yeah, anything you take in your eyes, you take it in completely, okay? Because basically your eye is just water, okay? So you're taking it in completely. Alrighty, how to prevent that's down at the bottom of the page. Or over towards 106 there, they give you some prevention there as well. Alrighty, they give you a list of symptoms to look for over on page 107. So the mild symptoms, everybody with me, right underneath the box there. The mild symptoms, headache, fatigue, that type of thing. Moderate symptoms, nausea, trembling, loss of muscular control. Severe symptoms, vomiting, loss of reflexes. The key to this whole thing is to be able to recognize something as a mild symptom before it turns into a moderate or severe, okay? Those mild symptoms are pretty benign, like headache, fatigue, that type of thing. If you're going at it for a week or two, headache and fatigue can be a pretty natural thing. I had 2 guys in the course one day sitting side by side, just like you two. Between the 2 of those guys, they worked 15,000 acres. Like, those guys are gonna get tired, all right? So those are the things you kind of want to be able to recognize them early, all right? The other thing there is, if you're working with somebody that has a health-related issue, something like a diabetic, that type of thing, be able to recognize a diabetic reaction versus a chemical reaction. And those are the things you got to keep in your mind if you're working with folks like that, okay? Good enough. Flip that over. Where else are we going here? I guess we're good there. Let's go to first aid on page 113. You ready? So first aid, section heading is on 113. Flip that over. Top of page 114. There's the Post Information Center number. Right up there. That is also on your yellow card. At the front of the book, it's also on that yellow magnet. Okay? So everything is right there for you. Alrighty. We get into this. Susan, you remember that guy last year? Was it Richtown? The gentleman was needling sows. Alrighty. And you know what livestock can be like. So he was needling these sows. He was, I don't know what he was working on. Anyways, he put his hand on the back of the old girl to kind of settle her down. Well, the old girl jumped. He didn't and injected himself. Alrighty. So again, he was very concerned right off the bat. He called that Poison Information Center number. He went through it with them, and he went through the different things that he had to give them, like the rate and what the product was and the number and all that kind of stuff. They suggested that he did go to the hospital. He was quite concerned, so they sent him to Chatham to the hospital. By the time he got there, all that information had been transferred electronically. When he walked in, they were ready for him. Okay? So those are the kind of things that happen if you get involved with this. Okay? So it can happen very quickly on you, and you can be ready. All righty? Over on 115, first aid treatment for pesticide accidents. So number one, always protect yourself from injury first. So if you've got a guy that's gone down, he's been covered with leg on, that type of thing, what's the first thing you're heading for?
Protect yourself.
Yeah,
Right, but yeah.
it's the gloves, right? That kind of thing. You gotta protect yourself first. Do you remember the 3 guys that went into the manure tanker up north? That's gotta be at least 10 years ago, at least. But they had a problem with a liquid manure tanker. One guy went into the tank to work on something down in the bottom of it. He was overcome by ammonia or whatever it was. Another guy came along, saw that he was in trouble. The second guy went in to help the first guy, and they got both overcome. The third guy came along, in he went, and before it was over, all 3 of those guys passed away. Okay? So protect yourself first. You have to. Alrighty? Number 2, check the scene to make sure the guy makes sure it's safe. Number 3, call 911 and get an AED. You guys know what an AED is? What was that? It's one of the hard things? Yeah, that's what it is. Automatic external defibrillator. You're starting to see them in arenas and that kind of stuff. That's what it is. Alrighty? Number 4, check to see if the casualty's breathing. Number 5, stop exposure to the product, assess the risk. Flip that over, top of the next page. Call the Ontario Poison Center. Okay, if you think that's necessary, get it done. Alrighty, and again, they are going to ask you for product name, the active ingredients for each exposure, amount of exposure, time since, symptoms, all that kind of stuff is what they're going to ask for. Alrighty. Number 7, start the first aid treatment. Number 8, make sure the patient gets medical attention if necessary. Alrighty. Top of 117, general first aid guidelines for stuff regarding pesticide. Alrighty. So number 1 there, product was inhaled. What would you do if product was inhaled? What would you do with the guy?
The book says even if you don't know, to have your ticket, what do you call it, to do it anyways. That's
Yeah.
what it says. If he's unconscious.
Yeah.
If he's not breathing.
Okay. So again, if it was inhaled, what would you do with that guy?
You turn him on his side,
Yeah.
first of all, and then you'd have to do artificial respiration.
Get him to a fresh, good spot.
The
Fresh
first,
air.
yeah, fresh air. Open the shirt up. Get the guy some fresh air. That's your first response stuff there. Okay. If product contacts the eyes, what are you going to do there?
Flush, flush, flush.
Yeah.
Minimum of 15 minutes. probably
15-minute eye wash. Alrighty. Okay. And the other thing with that, with the eye wash, I mean, don't throw the guy on the ground, power wash his eyes for 15 minutes and leave him there, alright? Get the guy to the hospital. Don't mess around with the guy's eyes, okay? Flip that over, top of the next page. The product contacts the skin, what are you doing?
Move the contaminated clothes first.
Yeah, and then what?
Start washing.
Start washing, okay? So again, get rid of the clothing, get it off, wash the guy down. Chemical burns down at the bottom of the page. We don't deal with a lot of chemical in agriculture that's caustic, okay? But in that case, you do not remove the clothing. Because the clothing can actually, the product can actually adhere the clothing to the skin. If you start pulling clothing, you're pulling skin, and it just gets messy, okay? So again, stay away from that type of thing. Keep it cool, get the guy to the hospital. Over on the next page there, if product entered the mouth or was swallowed and not swallowed, basically anything like that anymore, just load the guy up and take him to the hospital, okay? Let them deal with it. You can actually cause more problems by inducing vomiting than just leaving them alone and getting the guy to the hospital.
But then we called the poison control center on here so that they would be prepared for you.
Exactly, exactly, Peter. Yeah, so that way they know what's coming, okay? So, it's on the next page. Being prepared. And these are probably the keys to first aid right here. All right? So, read the labels of the products that you're gonna be dealing with. Have a handle on what you're doing. If a guy goes down to convulsion, it's a little late to be reading the label. Get an idea what you're gonna do. Let somebody else know when, what, and where you are. Okay? How many of you guys work alone? All righty? I do as well. If you go out after lunch to load a tank and go spray a field, all righty? And let's say you got yourself in trouble, you were overwhelmed by fumes or whatever, and you went down. Who's coming? All right? And even, like in my case, my wife does work in healthcare, but she's not gonna show up until at least supper time. And when you're working, it's not unusual for you to miss supper, right? You keep going till dark. So there's a good chance you're down till dark, all righty? Let them know where you are, all righty? What's going on? Post-emergency telephone numbers, I've given you all those, all right? Carry a cell phone, all righty? Most guys have got cell phones around now. The thing with a cell phone is keep it with you, all right? I have a very bad habit of throwing the thing onto a ledge in the tractor, all right? Keep it with you, all right? A couple weeks ago, there was a kid in Nova Scotia, all right? He got into a grain bin, and he got into his waste. The kid was able to get his cell phone out, and he called the other guys that were supposed to be working with him. They got the kid out. It took them about 8 hours to get him out of that grain bin. But that kid was done. If he hadn't had the cell phone, they had it with him. All right? So again, keep them with you is the key there. First aid. Keep your first aid kit. First aid course, CPR course. All right?
Alan,
Yes, sir.
just a quick note.
Yeah.
I've got a thing, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this, it's called a Spot. And it's a GPS thing, you can hang it in your tractor, you can hang it in your truck. I use it in my airplane, and you put messages in there, it's got an SOS.
Okay.
Goes right to your cell phone. Your wife can look in the cell phone, tell which field you're in, right to 1 meter.
Is that right?
And if you, let's say you're out of gas, or you blow a hose, or you're chemically,
Right.
you just push the help button, it'll automatically send her a message, says, I'm at the field, it's not emergency, I need help.
Okay.
If you're in a life-threatening situation, you push SOS, and all the emergency, Trenton, everybody will be here. They'll do a response of what you are. But she can track me when I'm flying, say,
Okay.
it'll beep every 2 seconds, and they'll tell you exact GPS thing.
Yeah.
And if you push the dot on your telephone screen,
Yeah.
it'll tell you he was there 4 minutes ago.
Is that right?
He was there they're $150.
Really? That's
Yeah,
all?
and it works everywhere.
And they're called spots.
Anywhere, it's called a Spot.
Where do
It's
you
a
get
little
them?
orange, you can get them at Aircraft Spruce in Brantford,
Okay.
but they have them for, and it's used for all that. So I use it even when I'm deer hunting, I put it on my backpack.
Okay.
And she can track me all through there, because if you ever drop, they never know where you are, because you're
Right.
camouflage, right?
Right.
So they see a vulture, you know,
Yeah.
so if that spot don't move, they know, well, he hasn't moved for an hour and a half.
Right.
They can just check right on their cell phone. It costs, I think, 150, or I think it was $75 to activate it for the year.
Okay.
It's well worth it,
Yeah.
you know.
That's the first I've ever heard.
And it has a message to say, okay, I'm okay at the field. You know,
Okay.
so you push, everything's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it sends it to 3 people. So,
Really?
yeah. So it's handy.
Good.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. All right, how are we doing with everything so far this morning? We good? All right, we're gonna test that theory. You guys realize that? All right. What we got, guys? I'm gonna give you this thing. First thing is just your name, where you're at, date, that kind of stuff, please sign at the bottom. Okay? First thing you run into is a label question. 2 pages of label question. The label you need to answer those questions is the green pages in the middle of the actual booklet itself. So there they are right there, okay? You can take that right out of there, just pull it out, get it out so you can handle it, and away you go. All right, so that's the first 2 pages of that. From there, you get into the, after you get past the first 2 pages, at question 15, you are now into multiple choice, and that information is coming from the manual, all the sections we've gone through so far this morning. All right, how you identify that is, there's one there, there's all the headings there, so that one is managing pest resistance. Those correspond directly with the table of contents at the front of the book. So you can go back, if you gotta start on page 63 to figure something out, at least you're starting on 63, not 3. Okay? So the idea is to get you, just make it a little handier for you to work your way through. Work your way through. If you get to the stop sign, great. If you don't worry about it, okay? But when you get to the stop sign, we're gonna shut her down for lunch. All right, now, since we're where we're at today, it is about 11:45. All right, what I'm gonna suggest is we're gonna work at this for about 45 minutes till 12:30, and then we're just gonna shut her down. Are you guys gonna eat here? Is that the plan? Okay, just shut it down and let's go eat. The only thing here is, food is excellent, tad slow. All righty, so we get everybody stops, let's go in and eat and carry on from there. All righty, with that, we'll get you going here. As you go along, guys, any problems, any questions, don't be afraid to ask them.